Hello everyone. Today I'm going to tell you a story about an office worker who was always curious about what it would be like to be loved by everyone, until one day, the heroine suddenly became the only daughter of Count. All eyes were on her, but this brought her many troubles she had never imagined. There was only one solution, and that was to choose one of the three male leads, make him fall in love with her, and have a happy ending. What will the heroine experience? Let's follow along. I used to think about how interesting my life would be if everyone in the world fell in love with me at first sight. The couples dancing together created a very romantic atmosphere. A young man happened to see a handkerchief fall to the ground, and he quickly bent down to pick it up. "Miss, you dropped your handkerchief." The girl slowly turned around. The young man couldn't take his eyes off this beauty, and he wasn't the only one. He stammered involuntarily, "I'll return your handkerchief to you." She whispered, "I don't need it anymore. Throw it away." As soon as she finished speaking, she walked away. He was still stunned. "Yes, but miss..." Suddenly, several people ran over. "Hey you, I want that handkerchief. Give me that handkerchief. I'll take care of it." Everyone was like a hungry tiger who had found food. Everyone shouted, "Give it to me quickly. Give me the handkerchief." He gasped for breath. "These lunatics. Give it to me quickly." The owner of the handkerchief didn't even look back. She pursed her lips. "It's so interesting to live like this." This behavior was no different from a dog's. The heroine's name was Cressida Gaetano, the only daughter of Count Gaetano, known as the woman who attracted everyone's attention. All of this happened not long ago. Before that, she was just an ordinary office worker, no different from ordinary people. She was the kind of person who had a distant relationship with her father, who was her only relative. She also didn't get along well with her colleagues at the company and couldn't fit in with her friends. However, the heroine was often curious. What would it be like to be born with a radiant appearance like the sun? Everyone would notice, everyone would look back. What would it be like to live a life loved by everyone? If there was such a thing, it must be in another world. Her eyes were inadvertently attracted by the words, "My own romantic fantasy." She thought to herself, which celebrity is advertising this? It looks interesting, doesn't it? The virtual reality romance fantasy game she discovered at that time was the root of everything. It was a dating sim where the heroine becomes a noble lady and captures the hearts of three different types of male leads. First was the dashing prince, second was the cynical duke, and lastly was the devout knight. She had to choose one of the three male leads mentioned above, make him fall in love with her, and have a happy ending. Well, I bought it. I've seen the game introduction several times and have a general understanding of the world and the characters. But the more I look at it, the more confused I get. Are the male leads really the type to fall in love? The screen displayed, "Please select the heroine character." The 2-star difficulty was the lovely princess, who had 3 older brothers, a handsome father, and overprotective knights. The 3-star difficulty was the noble saintess, respected and loved by everyone in the empire, holding important power, commanding knights, and possessing divine power. She was very excited. The heroines are so beautiful. I don't know who to choose. I like them all. There's another heroine. Let's see what the setting is like. 6-star difficulty. The Count's daughter, despised by her father, an illegitimate child of the Count, and also the Count's only daughter, ignored by her fiancé in a political marriage, and looked down upon by the servants. She was stunned. Isn't this character setting a bit too much? It's just like me. Just because she's the hardest difficulty? What does that even matter? Cressida muttered to herself. "Fine, I'll choose this heroine." You can even decide the character's stats. "This is so detailed," she mused, scrolling through the options. Since this is a romance game, charm has to be maxed out. The despised Count's daughter? I'll make everyone fall in love with me. These settings may affect your gameplay. Cressida read the warning aloud. Sounds like a threat. Here we go. The light's getting bright. When she opened her eyes, she was lying in a bed. The sight before her made her jaw drop. "This is too realistic. This is amazing," she breathed, taking it all in. "It feels like I've actually crossed over into another world." She walked toward a mirror. "So beautiful," she gasped, staring at her reflection. "I can't believe this lovely woman is the despised Count's daughter. The graphics are incredible. It doesn't even feel like a game. Is technology this advanced now? This feels like I've possessed this person's body." A servant entered the room. "Miss, we have prepared the water and clothes for you to wash." Cressida glanced over. "All right," she replied. Suddenly, water splashed all over Cressida's face. The servants wore plastered smiles, their words dripping with false apology. "Oh dear, I'm so sorry. sorry, I slipped, didn't I? Thanks to that, Miss can wash her face quickly. Even the servants despise me. This is how the game starts with this setting, right? Cressida thought. Wait, her words stopped them in their tracks. Why are you all looking at me like that? The servants' attitudes abruptly shifted. Miss, we apologize. Are you all right? Let me wipe that off for you. What have I done to such a beautiful lady? They fawned over her. Miss Cressida, why are you so beautiful? We never knew our miss. Confusion clouded Cressida's mind. Wasn't I supposed to be the despised Count's daughter? It feels like everyone likes me. Are they crazy? Is this the power of 999 charm? Cressida quickly finished preparing and stepped out. All eyes were on her, everyone greeting her enthusiastically. Surrounded by so many people, she felt a little uncomfortable. She sighed inwardly. This is interesting. Everyone's reactions are different, but I feel like just looking into their eyes is enough to captivate them. So this is what pure adoration feels like. It's my first time experiencing this. Just then, someone came to announce, the son of Count Doral, your fiancé, has arrived. The word fiancé startled her. A few seconds later, she recovered. There was a fiancé in the character settings, right? It said she was despised by her fiancé. Well, let's go meet him. The aforementioned fiancé was already waiting in the mansion. There's no way I can marry that woman. The thought of spending my life with such a gloomy woman makes me sick. She's here. He sighed, head down. Miss Gaetano, I apologize. In truth, I came here today to say some unpleasant things. She asked, what unpleasant things? He turned to look and instantly did a 180, blurting out, I love you. And miss, the sight before him flustered him. Miss Cressida, seeing you like this today, you're so beautiful. No, you're always beautiful, but even more so today. She chuckled. Thank you. I've heard that so many times, especially starting today. As expected, my fiancé looks down on me, just like everyone else. This is too easy. She waved goodbye. I'm tired today. Come again next time. But I can't marry this man, because I already have my own chosen lead. His face flushed red, speechless. Cressida hurried back to her room. She lay on the bed, pulling the blankets over herself. I'm tired just from playing a game. I'll sleep first and start again tomorrow. Her eyes slowly closed, and a question suddenly popped in her head. But how do I log out? I'm so thirsty. Cressida didn't know how long she slept. She sensed something near her and opened her eyes to find everyone gathered at the foot of her bed. Cressida shrieked, startled. They began to close in. My lady, you're awake. Look at me. Her face paled. What's going on? All of you? Please don't misunderstand. My lady, I was afraid you'd call for me so early, so if I don't see you regularly, my vision blurs again. You smell so divine, my lady. I can't stand it. Even when you frown, you're so lovely. My lady, look this way. Overwhelmed, Cressida had no choice but to flee. Stay away from me, she cried, scrambling towards the door. There, blocking her escape, stood Count Doral's son, a sword in his hand. Last night's fiancé. What was he doing here? The sword lunged, piercing one of the servants. The others met a similar fate. You bastards! How dare you? Whose bedroom do you think you're in? This woman is mine. She smiled at me. She only smiled at me. Do you understand? He roared, Lady Gaetano, I love you. I said I love you. Cressida, speechless, fled the bloody scene. Panic clawed at her. What is going on? What is all of this? My mind is completely messed up. Suddenly, someone appeared, offering guidance. My lady, I'll take you somewhere safe. This way, please. Confused, she thought, who is this person? Such crazed individuals. Wanted to marry you, my lady. I'm glad you're unharmed. She had no choice but to follow. Is this person sane? After a while, they arrived at a desolate forest. Cressida thought, relieved, it's wonderful that someone's helping me. But where are we going? The man suddenly embraced her. Wonderful. Now I can have you forever. I love you, my lady. With those words, he leaped into the abyss, taking her with him. Madman, Cressida hadn't anticipated this turn of events. If I die here, I doubt anyone will even know. She struggled, swimming with all her might towards the shore. Against all odds, Cressida survived. Everyone's gone mad. This is terrifying. How did things get so absurd? She yelled, log out, but nothing changed. It's no use. No matter what I do, I can't get out. Finally, the realization hit her. She had inhabited this woman's body. She had been reborn. She didn't understand how, but from now on, this woman's fate would become her own. When she awoke, back in a mansion, the Gaetano Knights had dealt with the situation. The servants who had entered her room had all been replaced. The next morning, her father summoned her. He was Cressida's only living relative, but according to the character setting, he had always looked down on her. What would his reaction be? Count Gaetano began slowly. Cressida, I'm so glad you're alive. I've been worried sick, wondering what happened. I always thought your beauty was exceptional, but since yesterday, I find you breathtaking. His hand lifted her chin. Since yesterday, I've become Cressida. Is this because of that insane 999 charm setting? Count Gaetano turned away. I don't know if I should let you continue like this. If only yesterday's incident hadn't happened. Or perhaps you could live in our family's tower. What do you think? She asked. What if I go to the tower? I'll assign you several servants. You just have to stay there quietly. Isn't that imprisoning me? How long will I have to stay there? He stepped closer, embracing her. You will stay there forever. From now on, you will always remain by my side. Cressida, as my daughter. Revulsion churned within her. Now even my father has gone mad. Father, your words are a bit sudden. I'll need to think about it. It was nothing but a sham, this affection. In truth, I love you very much. His hand caressed Cressida's face again. A sudden rush of memories, not her own, flooded her mind. She pulled away sharply. Father, this is all rather overwhelming. I'll need some time to consider. This love, she knew, was a dangerous illusion. Watching him leave, he called Cressida's name. Panic seized her. I can't be trapped in this tower, his daughter, for the rest of my life. But if I stay here, I might be dragged into that tower. What should I do? Is there any other way? If I really have crossed over into the world of Rose Garden romance, maybe if I follow the game's objectives and capture the heart of the male lead, this might all end. If that's the case, can I return to my world? A knock interrupted Cressida's thoughts. Miss, it's Jack. May I come in? She hadn't seen him among the servants yesterday. Come in. She hesitated before giving permission. No, wait. Wait until I give you the signal to enter. She thought of the servants, seemingly bewitched from the moment they met her eyes. So, what if they don't look into my eyes? Once prepared, she instructed them to enter. What is it? Don't come any closer. You can speak from there. Though he didn't understand the reason, he stopped where he was. Yes, Mississippi. I've come to ask you, miss, about the imperial banquet being held tomorrow evening. You will be attending the banquet and haven't changed your plans, correct? This was the first Cressida had heard of an imperial banquet. What banquet? I've been quite tired lately, so my memory isn't very good. She tried to sound as natural as possible. He replied, Isn't tomorrow the first time in years that the imperial palace has been opened? It's the grandest of banquets, and all the esteemed guests of the empire will be in attendance. She feigned hesitation. Is that so? A banquet? Can I go to such a place with this captivating appearance? Let me think about it. You may leave now. The servant bowed politely. Yes, Mississippi. Cressida watched him surreptitiously. Why the sudden change in attitude? Is it because of the screen? It seems my charm doesn't work on him. As I suspected, when they don't look into my eyes, this ability doesn't work. The moment our eyes meet, the power is strongest. And when I close my eyes, the effect is only half as potent. That's why they didn't attack me outright. So, from now on, I should start locking my door. It's too dangerous to go to a banquet with so many people. However, the chances of meeting the male lead are high. What should I do? A knock echoed. The knocking continued. Is it that servant again? A wave of unease washed over her as she heard Count Gaetano call her name. What is he doing coming to his daughter's room so late? He said, May I come in, Cressida? It's your father. She swallowed hard. A rattling sound continued incessantly. After a few minutes, the sound stopped. It seems she's fallen asleep. His legs gave way, and he collapsed to the floor, his face pale. It's time. I have to leave this house, no matter the cost. Even if attending the banquet is dangerous, I have to go. Hiding in this mansion won't solve anything. I'll build relationships with the male leads there. The fateful day finally arrived. People gathered, chatting amongst themselves. Did you hear? All the esteemed guests really did attend the imperial banquet. Good heavens, did that person attend as well? Unbelievable. Count Gaetano's daughter is here. Gossip immediately erupted. Good heavens, Miss Gaetano. It seems that bastard child is here to scavenge. Doesn't she feel ashamed? Should just be a wallflower here. Isn't that pathetic sight part of the entertainment? She doesn't even have the bare minimum of decency. Or is it because life has been so hard that she's gone mad? Cressida walked with her hand covering her face. Even if I'm ridiculed, it doesn't matter. I have to find a secluded corner and avoid eye contact as much as possible. As much as possible. Reaching a secluded spot, she breathed a sigh of relief. I made it to the banquet, but how am I supposed to find a male lead? Before starting the game, I looked at the male leads' profiles. In a banquet this large, there's bound to be one present. Look at the ladies gathered over there. As expected, it's him. That person is His Highness, the 18th Prince Eugene Lodnake. I didn't feel it when I looked at his profile before, but he's unbelievably handsome in person. The sole heir to the empire, loved by the gods for both his looks and talent, possessing the bearing of a perfect monarch. He monopolizes the affection of the empire's women and revels in it. Cressida observed him amongst the throng of admiring ladies. He looks happy. Isn't he tired? He's always surrounded like this. How am I supposed to approach him? Just as she was racking her brains, a voice called out, "Miss Gaetano, it's been a while. Aren't you lonely standing here all alone?" Cressida thought frantically, "Hello? Are you an acquaintance of this body's original owner? How am I supposed to handle this?" They quickly surrounded her. "I didn't expect to see you here, Mississippi." Is that a new dress? Where did you buy it?" "I was looking for a suitable outfit for my maid, but wouldn't this one suit her better?" Suddenly, someone tilted her face upwards. "Wait, Miss Gaetano, why aren't you saying anything? You should at least look someone in the eye when you're speaking." The moment their eyes met, they froze. Cressida calmly countered, "The shop you mentioned earlier, the dress I ordered today. I was about to say it would suit you even better than usual. I want to wear it too." "Me too. It would be wonderful if we all wore the same one. I'll make sure your dress fits perfectly." "No, I'll choose an even prettier one." A sense of foreboding washed over Cressida. "Oh no, what am I going to do?" She hastily refused. "No, I have to call the guards." The girls were still clinging to her. "Miss Gaetano, please." One of them accidentally looked into her eyes and immediately rushed to confess. "Miss, I love you." "What is this person suddenly doing?" Cressida shrieked. "Get away from me. If you don't like it, then don't look at that man like that. Look at me." A lady grabbed her and planted a kiss on her lips. Others shouted, "Get away from me. You crazy woman. I'm next. Don't joke around." Those lips. Just as things were descending into chaos, someone grabbed Cressida's arm. "Everyone stop this instant. What are you doing at the banquet?" Everyone hurriedly bowed. "Your Highness, Prince." Cressida feigned distress. "I'm so thirsty, so dizzy," she thought. The prince is actually interfering. Eugene gently supported her. "This young lady seems quite shocked. She needs to leave the banquet hall for some fresh air. Please excuse us." They obediently complied. "Yes, thanks to the prince." Cressida easily escaped the throng. "I saw you were having a difficult time, so I brought you out. I hope I haven't overstepped." She stammered. "Why, yes. You saved me just in the nick of time. It was so chaotic. If it weren't for the prince, right now," she nearly fainted. "Because my mind is so flustered, I unconsciously followed him." But isn't this dangerous? The 18th prince is a libertine. Even those who hate me are supposed to fall for him. And I'm alone with such a man. Will he pounce on me like some crazed pervert? A thought flashed through her mind. I have to run. No. Isn't this the opportunity I've been waiting for? Maybe the strategy can end the game immediately. Her heart whispered, even if he's a prince, he'll fall for me. Their gazes met in midair. Then the prince smiled. He took her hand and asked, "Miss, would you do me the honor of dancing the first dance with me?" Astonished, she asked, "What?" Cressida Gaetano shyly stammered, "Dancing? I'm clumsy. I was an office worker not long ago. How could I possibly know a noble dance? And somehow this feels suspicious." Her words made the prince chuckle. The 18th prince, Eugene, put his arm around her and asked, "How about this? You just need to stand on my feet, Mississippi." Cressida repeated in astonishment, "Stand on his feet?" Her toes were lifted and placed on top of his shoes. As the melodious music began, the prince led her in a noble dance. "It's just the two of us here, so it's all right. Slowly lean on me, little by little." Thanks to Prince Eugene's support, they danced quite smoothly. The prince even kindly complimented her. "You're doing very well, Mississippi." Prince Eugene's words made her blush. What is going on? But what worries me more is whether this person is also bewitched by me. Yet somehow, his reaction is different from the others. As she danced, Cressida looked up at the prince, thinking, I don't know what he's thinking. He seems interested in me. Or is it because he's one of the male leads? Even if my charm stat is 999, making him fall in love with me won't be easy. And it was this upward glance that revealed Prince Eugene's unusually icy gaze. Cressida was startled by the prince's look and immediately lowered her head, afraid to meet his eyes. So creepy. I can't look him in the eye. I have to look somewhere else. Seeing her gaze fall downwards toward his chest, the 18th prince covered his chest with his hands and feigned shyness. Are you looking at my chest, miss? Staring like that makes me blush. Cressida almost choked. Her face paled as she explained. Your chest? I wasn't looking. The 18th prince actually laughed. In her fluster, Cressida realized he was just teasing her. As the music ended, the prince looked at her tenderly. Even if you have no doubts about me, I want to say that I didn't bring you here with any ulterior motive. I simply couldn't stand by and watch you in such a predicament. I will make you feel uncomfortable. His sincere words touched her. She replied, yes. Glancing back at the hall, Prince Eugene noticed the music had stopped. He turned, intending to ask Cressida, I still don't know your name, but found only empty space where she had been standing. She had run off. This was the first time a girl had avoided him like this, and the 18th prince was greatly intrigued. The entire castle, brilliantly illuminated, looked especially beautiful in the night. While the guests were enjoying the banquet, Cressida was wandering outside. She carefully replayed the events that had just transpired between her and the 18th prince. The male lead setting is a libertine, so he's good with women. That's why he's not affected by my charm. Capturing his heart won't be easy. She also recalled his gaze from earlier. That wasn't the look of someone falling in love. It was clearly the look of someone observing me. Cressida bit her lip. All right, she needed to think about what to do next. Let's put capturing the prince's heart aside for now. After I've met the other male leads, I'll think about it properly. Taking a few more steps, Cressida heard a commotion coming from around the corner of the hallway and, driven by curiosity, walked towards it. Hiding around the corner, Cressida thought, why are there so many people in that secluded corner? 3 men stood side by side. A man with a thick beard tried to persuade. Your Grace, you need to meet the young ladies here first. The man addressed as Duke cut him off. I told you not to interfere, forcing them to attend such a banquet. Do you think that's acceptable? The Duke turned and growled. Are you taking your master's orders as the barking of a dog now? It was Duke Arnold Vassenberg, a man with an exceptionally handsome, stern face. Even when angry, he could make the hearts of many young ladies flutter. With that handsome face, Cressida easily recognized his large physique and intimidating aura. I remember he's one of the male leads, the head of the Vassenberg family, the man who controls all the wealth of this empire. Nicknamed the misanthropic Duke, who only loves money. She was a little surprised that a male lead with such a setting would attend the banquet. The man beside him continued, You can't miss this imperial banquet, Your Grace. Holding a cigar, the Duke shook his head and replied, The era where Vassenberg needs a legitimate heir is over. The official continued in a harsher tone, Your Grace, if you dislike young ladies like this news will spread throughout high society. That's why you're still not engaged. The bearded man beside him hurriedly interrupted, Please don't say any more. However, the impetuous official, unable to contain himself, overstepped his boundaries. Your Grace's attitude makes me feel like you're not interested in women's bodies, but rather in men's. Duke Arnold was silent for a moment, then grabbed the gossiping official by the throat. Cressida was terrified by the sight. The Duke tightened his grip. As Ray struggled, the Duke nodded in agreement. You have a point. He shoved Ray toward the balcony. Realizing what was about to happen, Ray pleaded fearfully, I'm sorry. This is the 2nd floor, but it was no use. Duke Arnold impassively emphasized the words he'd just used to question Ray. Men, this is what touching mercilessly means. With a scream, the Duke threw him from the balcony. The remaining bearded man could only say in terror, Your Grace. Duke Arnold turned his back on the still terrified bearded man. Let's end this banquet. From beginning to end, my marriage will be decided by me alone. Cressida, huddled against the corner, thought silently, as expected of the misanthropic male lead. Cressida cried inwardly, This is a romance game, but why is the male lead like this? I'm terrified to even interact with him, let alone date him. My fate is so tragic. The prince on my left, the Duke on my right, and my father behind me. Although all 3 of them are terrifying, I have no choice but to face them. She made up her mind. If I miss this opportunity now, I don't know when I'll see him again. He might be softened up by a woman he unexpectedly falls in love with. Since it's a romance game, isn't gentleness the most basic premise? I hope it goes as I'm thinking. Compared to the luxurious banquet inside, it was already laid outside. Duke Arnold was standing by the lake in the courtyard. As he stood there, he realized someone was approaching him. Duke Arnold snapped irritably. "Are you following me again? How many times do I have to say?" But when he saw who it was, he suddenly fell silent. Cressida gracefully lifted her skirt and walked towards him. "Oh my, your grace. I was just passing by. Excuse me. I am Cressida, daughter of Count Gaetano." Duke Arnold remained silent, ignoring her. The atmosphere around him grew heavy. Cressida was annoyed. While she was trying to make his acquaintance, he completely ignored her. "Why are you so quiet? Say something." Just as she was getting her hopes up, thinking that even a misanthrope would be stunned by her presence, the Duke loudly clicked his tongue. Cressida froze, starting to doubt herself. Looking at someone, clicking your tongue. Could it be that 999 charm doesn't work on the male lead? Even so, she couldn't just stand there and do nothing. She called out again, "Your Grace." Cressida stepped forward and took his hand. "I find you even more handsome up close. You're so cool. Would you like to dance with me?" "Oh no, I mean chat for a bit." The Duke flung Cressida's hand away and scolded. "Nonsense." She hurriedly said, "Wait." Seeing him about to leave, she took a risk, cupped his face, and pulled him back. "Wait, look at me." Because she knew that for her 999 charm to work, eye contact was necessary. As she made eye contact with the Duke, it was as if special effects were added around Cressida. Her long golden hair and beautiful eyes were like flowers in the early morning. "How do you feel after looking at me?" Unexpectedly, Duke Arnold looked at her, his expression becoming even more unpleasant. This time, the Duke, enraged, pushed her away and scolded, "You mad woman." Cressida tumbled straight into the lake next to them. A complete failure. There wasn't a trace of infatuation on Duke Arnold's face, only disgust. He irritably reminded her, If you were just passing by, I advise you to continue passing by, Miss Gaetano." With that, he didn't even bother to help her up and walked away. It seemed Duke Arnold had held back a lot in order to speak politely. Sitting in the lake, Cressida gloomily thought, "Now, that male lead completely hates me. What a failure. Perhaps I was too hasty, too aggressive." Struggling to get out of the lake, Cressida pondered, "How should I handle this situation? Because of that fatal charm, I thought I could capture the male leads, but I'm helpless against any of them." Cressida felt capturing them was also a problem. The male leads in this world are so strange. One is suspicious, and the other is always in a bad mood. Even so, I still have one male lead left. Hopefully, it'll be okay. Cressida muttered to herself, emerging from the lake just as she heard approaching footsteps. 3 unfamiliar men appeared at the lakeside, seemingly intending to help. "We heard a splash. Miss, are you all right? Should we call someone?" But the moment their eyes met Cressida's, their expressions shifted, becoming strangely captivated. "We can help you, miss. You probably wouldn't want anyone to see you looking so disheveled." They closed in, surrounding her. "Who are you waiting for, miss?" The question flustered Cressida, leaving her unsure how to respond. Suddenly, one of the men grabbed her wrist, fabricating a scenario. "Who are you waiting for, miss? Are you waiting for me?" Cressida was stunned. Why did he suddenly grab my wrist? Waiting for him? She thought incredulously. Cressida cried out in fear, "Let go of me!" Fortunately, someone appeared at that moment to rescue her. A sharp sword rested against the pervert's neck. "Stop!" This dramatic entrance reminded Cressida of the male lead she hadn't yet encountered. Could it be Roger Docklate, the captain of the Holy Knights? The newcomer's voice was cold as he repeated, "Let go. This lady doesn't want." It seemed her guess was correct. This was the final male lead. Roger pointed the tip of his sword at the perverts. Cressida watched him, thinking, so this is the last male lead? His handsome face exuded an air of authority, not without a hint of menace. The pervert, realizing he'd tangled with someone he shouldn't have, pleaded, "I don't know what you're trying to do, but could you put the sword down? We were just trying to help this lady." As he spoke, he placed his hand on Cressida's shoulder. This woman was looking at us with longing earlier. His hand began to grope her inappropriately. Cressida watched him in horror. What is this bastard doing? Suddenly, something flashed past, and the man's hand was gone. Everyone gasped at the sight. His entire arm had been severed instantly. Unpermitted liberties deserve punishment. Reflect on your actions for the rest of your life with your wrist. Then, Roger turned to Cressida and gently asked, "Miss, are you all right?" The other men fled in terror. "Help! Get a doctor!" My hand, Cressida, witnessing the whole scene, gaped in astonishment. Roger asked her again, "Miss, are you injured anywhere?" Now, she was even more convinced of her theory. He's definitely the third male lead. He's an upright, loyal man, captain of the Holy Knights, receiver of divine oracles. His appearance is as righteous as a sculpture, but I don't feel it. She stared at him, thinking, should I thank him for saving me? This person clearly isn't ordinary either. Suddenly, she collapsed into the water again. "Thank you." Her face darkened, as if all the life had drained from her. "My legs. I can't feel them." Roger immediately asked for her consent. "May I touch you, miss?" Before she could answer, he had already scooped her up into his arms. "Forgive my forwardness, Mississippi." She looked at him, thinking, how can he hold a person like a pillow? He looks like that, but he's a knight after all. He carried her to a nearby chair. "Miss, please rest here for a moment." Roger immediately excused himself, startling her. "Wait, my clothes are all wet, and I'm cold. Could you come closer and share your warmth with me?" She put on her most seductive expression, thinking skin-to-skin contact. Upon hearing this, he immediately took action. "In that case, I'll help you take off your coat." The plan didn't go as she expected. He really is a true, straight-laced male lead. Isn't one coat enough? Roger removed his own outer layer, revealing toned shoulders. "Then I'll take off some more," she trailed off. "No, that's not what I meant." Then he reached down toward her legs. "Or did you mean taking off your trousers?" Cressida shyly covered her eyes and screamed, but covering her eyes was ineffective. Hearing her scream, he realized what he was doing. "I apologize. I almost let you see me in such an indecent state. I'll put them back on." Cressida sat with her hands clasped. "It's all right," Roger said, his thoughts preoccupied with her. "The captain of the Holy Knights Wall is strangely cruel. This is just a guess, but I don't think this male lead has any favorable feelings towards me either. How frustrating. My 999 charm stat is supposed to be important, but it's useless. You helped me, but I haven't told you my name yet. I'm Cressida Gaetano. What about you?" He replied immediately, "I'm just an ordinary priest. My name is Roger." Learning his true identity, she thought, but you're not just a priest. You're the captain of the Holy Knights. Perhaps because she was drenched, she suddenly sneezed. Seeing her like that, he said, "Miss, I'm afraid you'll catch a cold. You'd best return to your mansion." She replied cheerfully, "It's nothing. Besides, I wanted to talk to you." He clasped his hands in prayer before her. "I'm a priest, but I'm also a man. It's inappropriate for us to be alone in such a secluded place." She thought, inappropriate. Is that the reason? My legs don't have any strength, so I can't walk yet. And so, the Princess Carrie scene unfolded once more. As before, she was surprised by his swiftness. He carried her directly to the carriage that would take her back to the mansion. Her startled cry echoed like an alarm. Arriving there, he helped her into the carriage and instructed the servant, "Hurry to the Gaetano mansion as quickly as possible. Miss, please be careful on your way back. I'll be going now." She called out after him, "Wait, Father Roger. No, I can't just let the last male lead leave like this. I have to find a way to hold him back." While he wasn't looking, she suddenly planted a kiss on his cheek. She whispered, "If I do this, will you remember me, Father?" Cressida looked at him with a bewitching expression. The carriage started to move. The servant drove the horses, and the silhouette of the carriage carrying her gradually faded away. He, struck by her critical hit, still couldn't regain his composure. Flustered, he blushed, thinking, how could she do that to a man she just met, especially a priest, even though I know this is a punishable act? Is it really? He replayed the events in his mind. That innocent young lady mistook my kindness for something else. Next time we meet, I will refuse and explain clearly. He turned and walked away. His body suddenly collapsed. Roger wondered why his legs had lost their strength. Nearby, Duke Arnold summoned his injured steward, Ray. "Has she been sent to the mansion yet?" Ray replied, "I didn't ask about that." The Duke instructed him, "Look into Miss Gaetano for me. That woman I just met tried to poison me." The steward explained, "You were poisoned? Are you all right, sir?" Duke Arnold raised a hand to rub his head. "It doesn't hurt much now, but when I face that woman, I wasn't angry. Suddenly, my heart raced. My breathing quickened, blood rushed to my face, and I started to feel hot. The steward listened, dumbfounded. Even now, my hands are still shaking. Perhaps she did something when we made physical contact. My heart was pounding like a hammer. That woman's scent still lingers in my mind, he recounted, trembling. After hearing this, the steward smiled brightly and replied, I understand, Duke. I will quickly investigate that young lady. Within a day, with that, he ran off. Arnold stood there, wondering, why did he make that expression? The scene shifted to the mansion. A man was calling Cressida's name. Cressida Gaetano. Is she Count Gaetano's illegitimate daughter? A servant replied, Yes, Your Highness. Nothing special, just an illegitimate daughter of unknown origin. She isn't worthy of Your Highness's bed, but Your Highness, after meeting her directly, seems to have taken a liking to her. You even had me look into her name. He said to the servant, No, on the contrary, she is someone to be wary of. I feel she is dangerous, because the moment I saw her, I felt excited. Ray, his face grim, looked at Duke Arnold. Your Highness is certainly full of energy, but for appearance's sake, Your Highness should at least be discreet about the location. He covered his mouth with a hand and chuckled. How strange. I truly am a beast, but a well-trained beast. His eyes gleamed. I understand the commotion at the banquet, such chaos caused by just that body. Interesting, isn't it? He handed something to Ray. Investigate further. Give this to that woman as an excuse. It was a letter. Your Highness, if His Majesty were to find out. Ignoring Ray's advice, he continued, I'd best observe her a little longer. Let's see, should I swallow, eliminate, or crush her? It seemed this male lead had quite a perverse hobby. Meanwhile, in the carriage, Cressida was thinking, a complete failure. I try to find clues on how to capture the male lead's hearts. However, it wasn't without results. My abilities don't work on the male leads. I've identified all the targets, but what can I do to make them fall in love with me? She sat lamenting. It's so unclear. Can I do it? The next morning, in her mansion, Cressida woke with a startled expression. What's going on? A sea of flowers filled her vision. Why are there so many flowers? Not only were they in her room, but the hallway was also overflowing with them. Her father entered, saying, Cressida, you're awake? It seems everyone you met at the banquet yesterday sent flowers and invitations. He held a tray piled high with invitations. It's quite natural. Marchioness Lotto, Count Bodhi, Lady Purdy, and even more prominent figures, he continued, picking up a letter with an earthy brown and copper sheen. Monsieur Roger Declet, Duke Arnold Weisenberg, His Highness Prince Etienne Eugene Rhodes, Nike. 3 names she never expected to hear. Those men sent me invitations? Her father replied, yes. She thought, those 3 male leads want to see me? But I didn't get that impression at the banquet. Did I miss something? Lost in thought, she didn't notice her father approaching her from behind. And about your fiancé, it's best not to accept that invitation. You should rest with me at the mansion. Like today, there was an unsettling ambiguity in his words that made her quickly step away from him. No, father. If I refuse these invitations, you'll get into trouble. What should we do? Soon. She immediately changed her mind. No, right now I'll go see His Highness the Crown Prince first. After preparing, she went to the banquet hosted by the Crown Prince. The waiting area was quite crowded and noisy, but especially it was full of women. With a puzzled expression, she wondered, is this the Crown Prince's palace? Half an hour earlier, on her way to the banquet, the coachman had said, it's unusual for His Highness the Crown Prince to send an invitation to a young lady like yourself. She had asked why. I hear His Highness is quite promiscuous. He replied, it's disrespectful of me to say, but since the young ladies are also quite fond of His Highness, there are so many women, there's no need to invite more. Moreover, I hear that recently His Highness's stepmother, Her Majesty the Queen, is searching for a future bride for him. So, the Crown Prince's palace is currently full of women hoping to meet His Highness. Back in the present, she still stood outside, watching the bustling scene. Inside, the women chatted amongst themselves. Are you here to see Her Majesty the Queen? Yes. Taking a detour is nice too. I hear the roses in the palace gardens are in full bloom. Another lady replied, me too. Such lovely weather for a stroll. But the owner of this palace, Behind Cressida, someone was sneaking inside without attracting attention. Inside, someone guarded the entrance to the audience chamber, preventing the girls from entering. Didn't you say His Highness lost something? We've brought it to him now. We must speak with His Highness directly. Tell us His Highness's schedule for today. Is he in the palace now? Cressida mused, watching from afar. Do I really have to go through all these people? This is so stressful. Taking a breath, she stepped forward. Excuse me, I have an invitation from His Highness. The guard replied, Miss Gaetano, His Highness mentioned you. Please come in. Suddenly, all eyes were on her. Each woman stared with a knowing look. An invitation? Who is this gaunt girl? Their gazes felt like they were piercing her skin. Are these the obstacles to capturing the prince's heart? The guard gestured her forward. This way, Mississippi. The scene shifted to a greenhouse. His Highness is currently taking a stroll in the gardens, the guard informed her. He will return shortly, so please wait here for a moment. Understand, Cressida replied. Suddenly, something shimmered, forcing her to shield her eyes. The light came from a girl dressed rather revealingly, as if she had just done something shady. Cressida wondered if the girl was embarrassed, but it was Cressida herself who blushed. What is this? Anyone can tell. The dark-haired girl looked at her. You must be the next one, right? Well then, I'll be going now. Cressida thought. The next one? What the heck? Suddenly, a voice called her name from a distance. Is that Miss Gaetano? Prince Etienne Eugene Rhodes, Nike, stood looking at her, still adjusting his attire. Excuse me. While I was strolling, I happened upon this young lady. An insect had flown into her skirt. Hearing this, Cressida thought, as if, Your Highness, did you invite me for tea? I'm delighted, because I wanted to see you again. Your Highness, she smiled triumphantly, thinking, all right, let's think positively. If he's this much of a gentleman, even if my charms don't work, I can easily capture his heart, right? Let's try seducing him. He simply stood there, looking at her, a small smile playing on his lips. I felt rather sorry last night, as he seemed to have run off. Have you perhaps changed your mind, miss? She replied shyly. Could it be that I wanted to make your Highness infatuated with me? Suddenly, she grabbed the hem of his coat. Only then would your Highness come looking for me. It seemed her plan was already in motion. He said, indeed, it makes me want to know more about you. I merely used an excuse to call you here. As for the tea party, I haven't prepared anything yet. She looked up at the prince with a seductive gaze. Suddenly, a voice came from behind them. Miss Gaetano? Who is that? The prince immediately moved closer to her, his large hand raised in front of her. Because of his quick movement, his hand brushed against her earrings, causing them to draw blood. Two figures, one tall and one short, hid behind the wall, not daring to make sound. He covered her mouth with his hand, preventing her from making any noise. He whispered to her, These are ladies sent by my mother. It would be troublesome if I showed any fondness for you. The two young ladies whispered to each other. I've never heard that name before. How dare she claim she received an invitation from His Highness? We must see her face to report back to Her Majesty. But isn't she right here? Cressida was held close by the prince, in a rather compromising position. He whispered into her ear, It's strange. Until now, no one knew of her, but now she's suddenly appeared. I can't let others notice this woman who stirs everything up. Not long ago, you were just an illegitimate child ostracized by high society, but suddenly, you seem like a different person. Have you changed? Cressida froze as she heard the prince's words. He had realized she wasn't the real Cressida. After a while, the two girls, unable to find her, left. I don't think she's here. Let's go somewhere else. Once she knew they were gone, Cressida quickly broke free from the prince's embrace. Trembling, she said, I feel saddened that your Highness didn't realize I'm also a pretty good girl. But now, listening to her words, his expression darkened. Your Highness has seen me, so I'm happy. He looked at her and smiled. She quickly changed the subject. Cressida looked at his palm. Oh no, your golden body is injured. He had been cut by her earring when he embraced her. He looked at his finger and said, It's just a small scratch. She thought, I have to use this to divert his attention. I must regain my composure and seduce him. Grasping his arm, she said, Allow me to disinfect it for you, your Highness. Lifting his finger, she parted her lips slightly. With a seductive gaze, she touched the scratch with her tongue. Prince Etienne chuckled, amused by her method of disinfection. Not bad, he murmured, pressing his finger deeper into her mouth. Cressida froze, surprised. He said, This spot disinfects quite well, as if she had intended to bite him. Don't bite. Keep doing that. He purred, pushing his finger even deeper. Now her cheeks flushed crimson. It seemed she could no longer maintain her composure. "My lady, with you tending to me so enthusiastically, it will heal quickly," he said, bringing his finger to his lips and licking it. She gave a wry smile, feeling teased. How am I supposed to capture a man like this? It's too difficult for someone unknown like me. Inwardly, she cried, "This is it, my last resort." Suddenly, Cressida collapsed. Seeing this, Prince Etienne Eugene Rhodes Nike anxiously asked, "What's wrong?" She whispered, "Something flew into my eye." Then, looking up, she pleaded, "Your Highness, could you please take a look? I will be most grateful if you could remove it." Before doing so, he gazed at her passionately. He hesitated, wondering if he should. Her eyes were captivating. He gently touched her chin. "It's nothing, just dust. My lady's eyes are clear and clean." Hearing the prince's compliment, she blushed. "Is that so? It's strange. I couldn't think of anything else to do, Seeing Cressida's hesitation, he gently asked, "So what else? What does my lady intend to do this time?" Seemingly caught red-handed, she was embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Faced with this situation, she hurriedly thought of a way out. "This isn't working. This man won't be swayed by my words or actions. It's best to retreat and devise another plan." However, he held her hand. "Trying to run away again?" Cressida quickly explained, "I wasn't intentionally leaving. When your Highness summoned me, I thought we were finished, and the tea was just an excuse, so now." But his next words surprised her. "The real business begins now, Lady Gaetano, because I intend to propose to you." She was stunned. "Propose? What are you talking about?" "Your Highness," he firmly replied. "Lady Gaetano, I fell in love with you at first sight." The atmosphere grew extremely awkward. However, she bluntly asked, "Don't joke with me. What is your true intention, Your Highness? I'm proposing, and you think I'm joking? You're cruel, Lady Gaetano. Before coming here, I thought Your Highness spent some enjoyable time with the previous lady. That was just a greeting. Please don't take me for a fool. Your Highness." So he decided to tell the truth. "Then, let me be frank with you, Cressida. You know my circumstances, right? My mother has been pressuring me to marry in many ways. It's difficult for me to meet the kind of lady I desire, so I've just been enjoying myself in my own way. But continuing to live like this is difficult for me, so I need someone to marry." She wondered, but why me? Aren't there many other candidates? Suddenly, he fell silent. "Actually, today I only intended to further observe you. I wasn't considering marriage, but I changed my mind, because the more I look at you, the more irritated and annoyed I become." Cressida asked, astonished why. He immediately explained, "Aren't you trying to seduce me? You're quite confident, aren't you? Anyone who looks at you, you'll make them kneel, become dependent, become your slave. How convenient for Count Gaetano. Your fiancé at the mansion was arrested for brandishing a sword in a jealous rage. Interesting news. I try to prevent this from spreading further." Hearing this, she began to tremble. "Just as you drove your fiancé to madness. If you charm and exploit those in the empire who hold religious and military power, revolution will no longer be a dream. Cressida, how will you enchant His Highness, the Crown Prince? Unfortunately, I firsthand witnessed your dangerous nature. Rather than becoming Crown Princess, you should obediently live like a puppet." Etienne recalled the scene from the banquet. He had noticed her presence long ago. "In that moment, I decided that woman is a wielded sword. If someone else takes it, it would be very advantageous for me. That sword might be aimed at my neck. In that case, I'll take it. I will determine this woman's worth." Returning to the present, he spoke in a harsh tone. "My proposal isn't just an invitation. If you refuse, I cannot guarantee your safety." Suddenly, she grabbed his hand. "Your Highness, I think you've misunderstood me. Do you think I'm seducing and using you to gain a foothold in the power struggle? I have no interest in harming others. I only want to marry the man I love. If your Highness doesn't love me, then I won't marry you." This answer caught him off guard. Then, looking at Cressida's stunned expression, he laughed loudly. "I'm sorry. Your words are so naive. I didn't expect this at all. In this situation," she thought, "no dark words, just wanted to quickly capture the male lead's heart and be done with it. To those who don't understand my situation, my words must sound like the ramblings of a naive fool." Suddenly, he grabbed her hand and said, "Cressida, am I not good enough? Actually, all the annoyance and threats were a joke. I apologize. I'm ready to love you. Don't you like me? You've been diligently seducing me this whole time." Then she retorted, "No, I really haven't been seducing your Highness. What have you been saying this whole time? I won't tell anyone. I'll keep my mouth shut. Please just think of me as someone who wants to live with a kind and affectionate husband." "Excuse me." She immediately ran away. However, he called out again, "Oh, my Cressida, are you leaving me again?" Cressida ignored him and awkwardly left. Etienne affirmed, "You'll regret this." After leaving, she pondered, "I have goosebumps all over. That man is so strange. He even said he'd kill me if I didn't marry him. Does this game have a bad ending? Will I die in this world because of the male lead? If so, then after marrying the crown prince, no, I can't pursue that man. Even if I succeed, I don't like him anymore. It's best to pretend the crown prince doesn't exist and not get involved with him at all. Since the crown prince is so scary, wouldn't it be a terrible decision to pursue and marry him?" Narrowing down the candidates to the Duke and the Knight Commander, pursue and run, pursue and run. This time, it's Duke Wizenberg. In a magnificent castle, someone slammed their fist on the table in anger. "How dare you send an invitation to that woman without my permission?" The butler cautiously asked. "Excuse me, but at the Duke's banquet," the Duke asserted. "Did I say I wanted to invite her? Just because I said she seemed to have poisoned me? What is that crazy woman planning to do at my mansion?" His reaction gave the butler a clue. The Duke's reaction shows he's already smitten with her. Anyone can see it. "I can't miss this opportunity. Duke, please don't say that. Please meet her again first." However, his words fell on deaf ears. To clear his head, he left the room with a crossbow. "Why are you suddenly taking a crossbow?" Duke Arnold Weisenberg's demeanor seemed very anxious. The scene shifted to outside the Duke's mansion. Cressida was surprised by the butler's announcement. "Are you saying the Duke has gone hunting?" "Yes. I sincerely apologize, Mississippi. I'll send someone to fetch the Duke immediately," she said, astonished. "But I clearly received an invitation to dine together. To be honest, miss, I took the liberty of sending you the invitation." "What? So you invited me without his permission?" "The Duke is prone to misunderstandings, so I did this." Only after recalling the Duke's words did the servant remember with surprise. "Apparently, His Grace expressed his affections for you, Lady Gaetano. It sounded like more than mere fondness. So, if you could take care of that matter first, I would be most grateful. I'll escort you to the drawing room, and if you'll wait there." Cressida, however, flatly refused. "I'll go to him directly. Please take me to the hunting grounds." The scene shifted to the forest at dusk. It was the Duke's hunting ground. Engrossed in the hunt, he was suddenly reminded of Cressida. Every gesture she had made before him distracted him, preventing him from concentrating. Because of this, he missed his prey, so he decided to leave. Suddenly, Arnold heard a strange sound. He became alert and aimed his crossbow in that direction. But unexpectedly, it was Cressida. Astonished, he lowered his weapon. Fearfully, she began, "Your Grace, allow me to reintroduce myself." She was terrified he might actually shoot her. "My name is G.A." Before she could finish, he interrupted, "I'm not a fool, Lady Gaetano. What is the meaning of coming to the hunting grounds without my permission? Such impudence." His anger stunned her. Talk of expressing affection and love. What nonsense. "I rushed here, thinking I had successfully won his favor, but he looks disappointed that he couldn't shoot me. Then, I heard that, like the crown prince, he's also under pressure to marry. So that servant tried to set me up with the Duke. How dare he serve under that barbaric Duke?" After a few moments, she spoke. "I came because I heard good news. I heard your Grace fell in love with me at first sight. I was so happy." Silence hung in the air. Receiving no reply, she said awkwardly, "Isn't that so?" "But the Duke's servant said so." Arnold roared in fury. "That damned old fool. You actually believed him. How could that possibly be true? In the first place, sending the dinner invitation was his own doing. Despite knowing this, she wanted to try one last time. I know I have to seize this pretext in this situation." Cressida took a step closer. "Do you truly have no other feelings? After seeing me, do you not feel anything for me at all?" But she couldn't have anticipated the explosion of rage that was about to erupt. Despite her being a woman, he pointed his crossbow directly at her. The sudden action startled her. He glared at her, trying to poison me again. This woman is actually poisoning herself. Despite her panic, she tried to speak. "What poison? What are you talking about? Admit it. Last time too, and now you're poisoning me again. What are you plotting?" Cressida attempted to explain. "No, I've never done such a thing." However, he was adamant. "It must be an airborne poison. You must be hiding a poison sachet on you. Isn't that right?" Her frustration finally boiled over. "Listen to me. I don't know why you're accusing me of using a love potion or poisoning you. If you suspect me, then search me." Arnold asked in astonishment, "Are you saying I should touch you now?" Have you switched to outright seduction? Cressida immediately denied it. I don't like this either, but you're the one suspecting me. As soon as she finished speaking, she boldly began to remove her clothes. Fine, let me show you. Here, look, check if I'm hiding anything. Her actions made him blush. He immediately demanded, "Stop, don't take them off." He gritted his teeth, trying to endure. At this point, she felt relieved to have escaped a crisis. After all this, he finally apologized. "Lady Gaetano, I apologize about the poisoning. It seems I misunderstood." She thought, why would he misunderstand like that? How could that servant think this man wanted to be with me? To clear his head, Arnold went to a corner and took out a cigarette. But as he turned around, he caught her gaze. So he immediately pretended not to notice. Despite the pretense, his hands trembled uncontrollably. A sudden thought struck Cressida. What is this reaction? Could he be interested in me? Is my charm actually working on him? Fear pulsed through her, a desperate urge to flee rising within her. Yet, the thought of simply pretending not to notice and giving up felt like a missed opportunity. As the hour grew late, they decided to return together. "Let's go back to the manor," Cressida said. "That's the carriage I came in." Though a bit cramped, they managed to sit together. "This carriage is ridiculously small," Arnold grumbled. "Your Grace," Cressida ventured, "I'm curious. Why did you misunderstand my actions as poisoning or harming you? Did your feelings towards me change after you looked at me earlier?" "Lady Gaetano," Arnold retorted, "you have some nerve. Am I obligated to answer such questions? Is it," she pressed softly, "that your feelings towards me aren't strong enough to overcome the suspicion that I might poison you? Is he truly captivated by me? How can I test it?" Suddenly, she leaned closer, causing him to fluster. "Lady Gaetano, please maintain a proper distance." Just then, the carriage hit a rough patch in the road. The jolt sent the carriage lurching violently, throwing Cressida off balance and into Arnold's arms. "Lady Gaetano," he exclaimed, startled. "What do you think you're—" "I didn't mean to," she quickly explained. "It was the carriage." In the close confines, he couldn't easily release her. He gritted his teeth, enduring the contact. This awkward situation was a first for Wisenberg, and in his panic, he abruptly jumped from the moving carriage. "Your Grace!" Cressida cried out in alarm. He had actually jumped from a moving carriage. Upon landing, Wisenberg stumbled, his legs giving way beneath him. His heavy breathing filled the sudden silence. Beads of sweat dotted his forehead. "Your Grace, are you all right?" Cressida asked anxiously. "No." The coachman, hearing her cry, turned around in alarm. Taking in the scene, he began to shout, "No, Your Grace." Meanwhile, Cressida thought, he loathes me so much that he jumped from a moving carriage. Seeing Cressida slowly approach, Wisenberg shouted, "Don't come near me." She stopped, surprised. "That's why," he continued, "I can't help but suspect you, Lady Gaetano." Panic began to set in. "What?" The air grew thick with tension. Wisenberg slowly turned his gaze to Cressida, his voice dangerously low. "There are rumors that Duke Wisenberg detests being touched." Then he asked, "You must have heard the rumors about me? Others deliberately avoid me, yet you have repeatedly attempted to touch me. A typical lady wouldn't share a carriage with a man who made her undress or pointed a crossbow at her." "I wouldn't touch that body," Wisenberg stated definitively. Cressida felt as if she'd been struck in the chest. Her face flushed crimson. "No, that's not what I meant. Just now," she stammered, trembling. Self-reproach gnawed at her, but a deeper unease settled in. It seemed her charm, unnatural as it was, had no effect on him whatsoever. Duke Wisenberg continued his interrogation. "If you don't intend to harm me, then what are your intentions, my lady? You'd best answer my question." Cressida's mind raced, conflicting thoughts colliding. Should I confess that I've fallen for him? No, he wouldn't believe me. I must fabricate a believable lie, laced with a touch of sincerity. Having decided on a course of action, she began her performance. "Forgive me, Your Grace. Actually, during the royal banquet, I overheard a conversation between you and your aide. In your current situation, you are in dire need of a marriage." Lowering her head, she confessed, "I, like you, wish to escape my father's overprotective grasp. Marriage is the quickest way to achieve that, and it just so happens." The excuse seemed plausible enough. Duke Wisenberg remained silent for a long moment. He stretched languidly, then replied, "So you need a husband? Anyone will do, and that's why you've been trying to seduce me?" An indescribable feeling welled up within Cressida. What is this? Her heart lurched with a sharp pain, as if pierced by a sword. Wisenberg stared at her, a cold smile playing on his lips. "You have ulterior motives. How shallow." The agonizing pain twisted and writhed within her, leaving Cressida paralyzed. The Duke felt utterly played. He stalked towards Cressida, his voice laced with icy disdain. You feigned concern, pretended affection, accepted my invitation, and pursued me all the way to the hunting grounds. Lady Gaetano, I rescind my invitation to the banquet. Return to the Earl's estate at once. He brushed past her, his words a venomous parting shot. I will never marry you. A woman who eavesdrops and scurries about, exploiting others' weaknesses, is no different from a rat. Cressida trembled violently. This battle was lost. No matter how hard she tried, her mission to win over this particular target had failed. Slowly, she climbed into the carriage. I understand, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Then I shall take my leave. She hadn't expected Weisenberg to be standing directly behind her. He gripped the handle above her head, his voice a low growl in her ear. Do not appear before me again, because next time it will not be just a warning. Having delivered his threat, Duke Weisenberg turned and left, abandoning her and the carriage in the middle of the forest. Genuine fear gripped Cressida. Huddled within the carriage's confines, she shivered. How terrifying. This man, and that other man too. The more I meet them, the more my life is threatened, let alone attacking them. I must be mad. I have absolutely no idea how to capture this man's heart. Fragments of her past life flashed before her eyes. Back then, she had also been involved with a man. His words were still etched into her memory. Why do you always look so gloomy and boring? Why are you so afraid of other people's gazes? Aren't you tired? No one will find a woman like you attractive. Cressida pressed her lips together, struggling to maintain her composure. Now, there's only one target left. If I fail with him too, then what am I supposed to do? The scene shifted to the monastery of the Aza Holy Knights. A prayer ritual was taking place inside. The representative stood in the center of the pulpit, chanting, "We thank you for the blessings bestowed upon this land. Your grace shall endure forever." The Holy Knight commander, Roger, appeared beside him. He too offered his respects to the bishop. Bishop Tocqueville, I have completed my parish inspection and have just returned. They looked at him with surprise, hastily asking, Sir Roger, did the inspection go well? He replied, By God's grace, this month seems to be even more peaceful than last year. The representative said, Excellent. You have personally received God's teachings. With you here, how could there be chaos? He stepped aside, gesturing. All right, next is Sir Roger. Roger followed, beginning his address. Bishop, as I mentioned before, I am walking the path of the clergy. Suddenly, the bishop seized Roger by the collar. The representative lowered his voice. There are too many eyes and ears here. Let's continue this discussion in the prayer room. In a blink, the two of them entered the prayer room as suggested. What happened next was brutal. The representative, who had just been chanting words of praise, was now whipping Roger's back repeatedly. The countless wounds on Roger's back caused him excruciating pain. The representative, his voice dripping with saccharine sweetness, questioned him. How could you, Sir Roger, you have repeatedly uttered such disrespectful words. In contrast, Roger, his hands clasped in prayer, murmured, I confess my sins to you, Father. Starting from the beginning of this year, please allow me to return to secular life. Urged on by the representative, Roger continued, I have taken off my priestly garments, attended banquets, and engaged in indecent acts with women. This goes against the duties of a priest. The representative dropped his gentle facade and shouted, The rules you speak of are 100 years old. Besides, haven't I already absolved you? With your sincere nature, abandoning your holy orders is preposterous. This conversation ends here. Cressida's carriage stopped in front of the Holy Knights Monastery. Looking around, she mused, So this is the Holy Knights Monastery of this empire? It's even more imposing than I imagined. To be the leader of such a place, he must be very strict. Recalling her 2 encounters with the dukes, Cressida silently vowed, This time, I absolutely cannot fail. Every method I've used so far has led to ruin. I must try a different approach, but I'm losing confidence. Seeing the sorrowful lady standing at the entrance, a young gentleman rushed over and inquired, Miss, is there anything I can help you with? Cressida looked up at him, completely forgetting to conceal her captivating gaze. She stammered, I received an invitation from Father Roger. He wrote that he had something to discuss. He seemed puzzled and asked again, The commander invited you? He rarely has guests. Let me guide you to the commander's room. At this moment, Cressida noticed the young man before her remained remarkably composed, showing no signs of being captivated. Is this man still normal? Is he immune to my charms, like some sort of storybook hero? After walking for a while, they finally arrived in front of Father Roger's room. He pointed to the door and said, "Miss, please enter." "Yes, thank you." Cressida followed his instructions and stepped inside. Countless cabinets met her eyes, arranged like an ancient library, stacked in tiered rows according to some specific order. Confused, Cressida asked, "Does the father really live here?" Only then did a strange, chilling sensation creep up her spine. By the time she realized it and turned around, it was too late. The sound of the locking door sent a wave of panic through her. "I'm doomed." The young gentleman had tricked Cressida into entering and then locked her inside. He even flashed a sinister smile at her panicked face. His true colors now revealed, he suddenly declared. "Rumors say the noble and proud Holy Knight Commander requested a return to secular life. Could it be because of this hiding a woman behind the scenes, indulging in pleasure alone? And with a woman like this?" Cressida was shocked, reprimanding herself internally. "I was too careless, not vigilant enough. Like a fool, again. Why do I always mess things up?" With that thought, she struggled to leave. "I don't know what misunderstanding you have about me, but I have things to do, so please excuse me. Now, if you'll pardon me." She hadn't even finished speaking when the cold-blooded man grabbed her hair. This vile man also harbored a perverse nature. He spoke with a twisted reverence. "I thank God for granting me such a woman." Disgusted, Cressida struggled against him. Just when all seemed lost, a chance appeared. Miraculously, the door opened. The person who entered was Father Roger. They stared at each other in surprise. The scene of the three facing each other was difficult to describe, but the pervert was perhaps the most surprised. His question was laced with extreme fear. "Commander Roger, how did you know?" Roger explained, "I saw the carriage arrive from the window, so I waited. But after the lady arrived, I hadn't seen her come to see me, so I wondered what had happened." Unable to find an excuse, the man could only tremble as he looked at Roger. Roger walked over to Cressida and reassured her, "Miss Gaetano, please wait for me outside for a moment. I will deal with this immediately." After Cressida left the room, the pervert received his punishment. Only faint screams could be heard from within. "Commander, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Commander. It was that woman who seduced me first." Standing outside the door, a question arose in Cressida's mind. Deal with it? How? Not long after, Roger emerged, the screams gradually ceasing. He glanced at the two other priests entering the room and understood. Lowering his head, Roger said, "Miss Gaetano, I sincerely apologize for the unpleasant experience you had due to my invitation." Cressida politely replied, "It wasn't your fault." Seeing her unhappy expression, Roger suggested, "Let's go to my office." The two of them followed him to his office. Standing before the closed door, Cressida began to contemplate the purpose of her visit. "Stay calm, think now. This is the only man left. Make this quick. If I can't return to my world, this will all just keep repeating. No matter what it takes, I must have this man. What should I do this time?" This time, it truly was Roger's office. He invited her to sit on the chair and brought out a cup of tea. As for Gaetano, she was still struggling with the plan in her head. What must I do to get him? She remained silent for a moment, then parted her lips. "Priest Roger," she hesitantly said, "thank you for helping me. I'm truly happy." Roger paused for a moment. Hearing this, Gaetano stared at him and said, "So, can you look in my eyes?" "No." "So, can you sit next to me?" Before his eyes, the teacup he had placed on the table earlier began to tremble. Priest Roger unexpectedly knelt beside Gaetano. He said, "Miss Gaetano, you are safe now. After the young lady slowly enjoys this cup of warm tea, I will certainly listen to you from beginning to end. You needn't rush to speak when you are still so scared." Roger's gentleness made Gaetano's heart waver. In this gentle scene, he continued, "I won't do anything you don't like. I won't show any emotions you don't want. In the name of God, I swear this by my name." Receiving no reply, Roger asked, "Are you calmer now, miss?" There was still no answer for him. Having no other choice, Roger turned and said, "Then, while you enjoy your tea, I will go handle some documents." By now, Gaetano had only slightly calmed down. Her hands were still trembling as she tried to hold the teacup on the table. Priest Roger went to his desk, seriously handling the pile of documents. Thoughts began to surface in Gaetano's mind. Coming to this world, forced to become Cressida for the first time, I feel like I'm breathing. Not looking into my eyes, why does it feel so good? Yes, even with more choices, I've made my decision. I must marry this man. The man I will capture is him. As expected, Roger wasn't charmed by being forced to look into my eyes or being touched, unlike that young lady with 999 alert points. But it's as if I'm on a date. This is the best method I can use right now. Gaetano called out. Priest Roger, why did you invite me here? Roger, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately put aside all his work upon hearing Gaetano's voice. He stood up and replied, I invited Miss Gaetano here because of your action of touching my cheek a few days ago at the banquet. She began to recall the memory of that time. Touching my cheek? This is the first time I've heard someone call a kiss. Touching the cheek. He approached Gaetano. Even for your own benefit, you shouldn't do such a thing. I understand you were acting on impulse at the time, so please forget about it. Gaetano interrupted Roger. She placed her hand on her heart and began her attack. This was an impulse. I hope Priest Roger would remember me, so I came here at your invitation. The more I look at you, the more I want to know everything about you. Everything I'm saying is sincere. Roger's expression at this moment was hard to read. He hesitated, wanting to respond to her words. Ultimately, his answer made Gaetano's heart ache. Roger turned away, rejecting her. I apologize, but perhaps you should return now. I'm a priest, and I cannot talk about this topic. Gaetano chased after him. No, priest, please wait. When she touched Roger's back, a strange phenomenon occurred, which made her panic. How can there be blood? Just as she said, Roger's back was bleeding, so much blood that it instantly spread all over his priestly garments. Roger explained this. I apologize for letting you see such an unpleasant sight. I think it's because I rushed to stop the bleeding that it became like this. Gaetano was extremely panicked. She kept asking him why he was so seriously injured. He still tried to endure. It's just a small wound. You needn't worry. Before he could leave, Gaetano stopped him. She said, No, didn't you help me this time? I will help you, so please take off your clothes. Faced with this request, Roger, as a priest, was a little surprised. He troubledly asked, Are you asking me to take off my clothes right here? Only then did Gaetano notice her previous hasty words. Blushing, she quickly denied, No, please don't misunderstand. I don't have any bad intentions towards you. You've saved me twice, so I'm very grateful to you, priest. Honestly, just now, I was happy that you said you would continue to listen to me. I know it's nothing to you, but to me, Roger watched Gaetano's expression as she spoke. She grabbed his clothes, explaining, It will be very inconvenient for you to treat the wound on your back yourself, so please don't refuse my help. He understood and sympathized with Gaetano's kindness, so he agreed. Then, I'll trouble you, Mississippi. He handed her a jar of ointment, saying, Here, use this. This ointment has a hemostatic effect. Gaetano's eyes lit up. I understand. Roger sat on the chair and slowly took off his priestly garments. When she saw the wounds on his back, Gaetano was horrified. These wounds are too serious. Who could injure the male lead like this? I heard he's one of the best knights in the world. Unable to contain her curiosity, Gaetano ventured to ask Roger, May I ask who did this to your back? He replied, Don't worry, Mississippi. This is punishment for breaking the rules of a priest. Gaetano was even more alarmed. What are you saying? A rigid person? No, I mean, someone as disciplined as you try to break the rules. Roger nodded. Miss Gaetano, if you are honest with me, I will also be honest with you, without hiding anything. The truth is, I'm a captain of the Azah Holy Knights. I am Roger Darkrat. Gaetano recoiled in shock. What? Priest Roger, you're the Holy Knight captain? Yes. With the blood of the Darkrat family flowing through me, I abandoned my family and vowed to dedicate myself to God. I volunteered for this position. However, I have no intention of leaving this position and returning to my family, but it's not as if I can leave at any time. That would be a serious violation of the rules. Gaetano, listening to his story, wondered, a man who lives entirely by his faith wants to resign. She asked him, Why do you want to leave this place? Roger hesitated for a moment, then replied, Because recently my younger brother, the head of the family and a baron, died in a carriage accident. Now only my ailing mother remains in the family. There are no relatives, no one to care for her. If this continues, my family will soon disappear from this world. Gaetano felt sympathy for his fate. Roger said, I know this goes against my oath to God, but I can no longer ignore my family's responsibilities. I want to go back to protect my mother and family, but the bishop won't allow it. The knots in her mind were finally explained in detail. So that's it. That's why the priest male lead, with such strict rules in this world, becomes the controlled object in this game. Now, everything is clear. Gaetano, without any reservation, patted her chest. You can use me. Before he could react, she clumsily pushed him down. Roger was flustered by Gaetano's actions. He stammered, Miss Gaetano, you shouldn't do this. She replied, If you and I love each other, the bishop can no longer keep you here. If a priest marries to become a baron, no one can stop you. No, that's not right. This proposal is too absurd. Roger repeatedly refused. Miss Gaetano, you shouldn't suffer because of me. This is my own problem, and I must solve it myself. Suddenly, Gaetano became serious. What if I said I won't suffer? What if I said this is beneficial to me? Her actions were now more decisive, as this was her last chance, and she needed to be honest about everything. Gaetano also believed that the man in front of her would certainly listen. The next moment, Gaetano unleashed her words to Lord Roger, drawing him into her love net. Priest, you've seen it too, right? How people become madly infatuated with me when they look into my eyes. That's why my father said he would imprison me for life to ensure my safety. But was it truly for my sake? Faced with her questioning, Priest Roger chose to remain silent. Gaetano continued to seduce him. Priest, you are the only one who hasn't tried to imprison me, kill me, or madly desire me. You are the only one. I can make this offer for just 1 year. We only need to be married for a year. If within that year I can persuade him, I can return to my real world. Meanwhile, you can protect your family, and I will also find a way to save myself through our marriage. Please allow me to escape. The scene became quiet. Roger asked, Miss, won't you regret marrying me? Your reputation will be ruined. Gaetano replied, I won't regret it, never. He used his hand to wipe away the tears still lingering in Gaetano's eyes. Now, the two truly exchanged what was called fate. Roger slid his hand to the back of Gaetano's head. He gently laid her down on the chair. The feeling was still so new that she was a little uncomfortable. Before her eyes was now the figure of the man who could help her achieve her wish. Just as things were about to reach a climax, he stopped, leaving her feeling disappointed. Priest, I left the door slightly ajar because I feel uncomfortable in a closed room. Understand, he said, and slightly opened the office door. He instructed, in 5 minutes, my attendants and other holy knights will enter here to prepare for the next schedule. If I break my vow of chastity in front of everyone, then this time Gaetano quickly unbuttoned her blouse. Understand, priest. Let's create a situation that allows you to immediately renounce your vows. She did this because she wanted to reveal a little skin, pretending to be intimate. Is this enough? Unexpectedly, Roger agreed with Gaetano's flimsy idea. The two pressed close to each other like a newlywed couple. When their lips were about to touch, Miss Gaetano, she suddenly exclaimed, causing Roger to freeze. He shyly said, I apologize. Are you still uncomfortable, miss? No, it's not that. I just thought we would pretend to be intimate, breaking the vow in front of everyone. Roger was stunned for a moment. Only now, fully understanding what she meant, did his attitude immediately change. He shyly displayed an awkward expression. You're right, miss. We should do that. Yes, that's right, Gaetano then suggested. No, actually, I think it would be better if we at least kissed. No, that's not it either. This mess drew them together. Just as noise came from outside, Gaetano quickly reminded him, I think they're here. Indeed, his attendants had arrived at the door of Roger's office. He hurriedly got up, but Gaetano grabbed his collar and pulled him forward. The attendants outside, following their duties, called out, Priest Roger, Captain Roger, I brought those who will participate in the next inspection. They noticed the door was slightly ajar, but not locked, and questioned, why is this door open? Following their instincts, the attendants pushed the door open and entered to find him. The sight that greeted their eyes was one they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Roger Darkrat and Crocetta Gaetano were currently embracing each other in the room at the palace. At this moment, everyone was gossiping. Oh my God, is it true? The captain of the Holy Knights? He's involved with a woman at the monastery? You mean Roger Darkrat of the Isama Monastery? No way, I know him. I can't believe he would do such a thing. Prince Ethan Eugene Nick, seated above, smiled. The young lady sitting next to him said, Your Highness, did you hear? Although he was immediately demoted, this scandal silenced everyone. Ethan cheerfully winked and replied, This narrow-minded world is so boring. He was demoted for being with a woman. If it were me, I would have been demoted hundreds of times already. Hearing these jokes, the young ladies giggled and said, Your Highness, you really are. Then the prince asked the ladies around him, So, which lovely lady made the captain of the Holy Knights lose control? Duke Arnold Wisenberg, standing next to him, sighed with boredom. The other young ladies said to Ethan, It's beyond imagination, you know? That's Count Gaetano's only daughter, Cressida Gaetano. Hearing these words, Duke Arnold froze. Prince Etienne's reaction to Gaetano was similar. Family's mansion. When the world is going on, Cressida Gaetano, the Count shouted angrily. He flung open her bedroom door and then stormed inside, questioning, Cressida, is what happened yesterday between you and the Holy Knight true? Count Gaetano directly scolded his daughter. You've tarnished the Gaetano family name. You've even caused so much gossip before marriage. But then he suddenly froze. Cressida turned her head and asked him, Father, you already know? The Count's expression became strange, and his voice softened as he called to her, My daughter. He knelt before Cressida and sadly said, Father is sorry for raising his voice at you. Tell me this is all a lie, right? Her expression darkened, and she slyly smiled as she replied, I'm sorry, Father, but I've already offered my body and soul to Priest Roger. In her heart, she was extremely pleased. Everything was going according to plan. The rumor about her relationship with Priest Roger was spreading, just as she intended. Returning to the moment the two were discovered embracing each other. In the room, the holy knights who witnessed this scene were extremely angry. Captain, you're violating a sacred law. Is everything we saw true? Roger didn't answer, but simply nodded as if in answer to them. The holy knights immediately shouted to each other, Tie the captain up. Seeing him tied up, Cressida was extremely panicked. She wondered confusedly as she watched the rope binding Roger's hands. They're treating him like a criminal. Roger then said to her, I'm all right. 3 days later, I will resolve this matter and then come to the Gaetano family mansion. Please endure a little longer there, Mississippi. Recalling that day, Cressida thought to herself, that's right, I only need to endure 3 more days, and then I can escape from this disgusting father. Then she smiled brightly and said to Count Gaetano, please don't worry, father. Mr. Roger is a good man. He said he will take responsibility and marry me. Hearing her words, the Count paled. Cressida continued, now, father, you no longer need to worry about my safety. I will go to the Darkrat family and become his wife. Her father stood up like a lost soul and turned away. Then he said, that won't happen. I can't give you to that filthy bastard. Cressida asked blankly, what? The Count then closed the door to her room. Seeing this, she rushed to the door, repeatedly banging on it and shouting, why are you locking the door, father? He sternly said, until you agree to go to the tower, I won't give you a single drop of water. Cressida continued banging on the door in protest. What are you saying, father? I don't want to. Count Gaetano then instructed the servants in the mansion, listen, from now on, you must always keep a careful watch. Until I call for Cressida, I won't allow anyone inside, even an ant. Suddenly, he slapped a male servant and scolded, you rabble. He continued to physically assault the male servant while shouting, how dare you? You dog, do you also want to ruin my daughter's purity? The wrongly accused servant hurriedly defended himself. I'm sorry, I was just guarding. The old Count didn't bother to listen to his explanation, telling him to shut up. Then he ordered, have the maids guard. Cressida, in her room, heard everything, her face pale with fear. Count Gaetano instructed the maids, remember, no one is allowed to lay eyes on my daughter. Now helpless, Cressida scratched at the door, thinking to herself, does he have to go this far? It's okay, stay calm. He promised me 3 days, and then he'll come. I'll somehow escape this place. Just hold on a little longer. Later, in the mansion, 2 maids whispered to each other as they walked. Because of that arrogant miss, we're humiliated to this extent, having to guard her door like this at dusk. We're not even allowed to drink a drop of water. Lately, the atmosphere in the mansion has been so strange that the servants are all quitting their jobs at once. Isn't it because that gloomy and cunning miss seduced the captain of the Holy Knights? The maid frowned and wondered, how did she do it? How could such a thing happen? The maid beside her laughed and replied, that's what I'm saying. Then she called out to the maid standing on the other side, hey, Margot, why are you standing there like a statue? You have to work too. Margot turned her head and replied, I know. The maid then asked her, you're new here, so you haven't met the miss yet, right? What do you think? Margot indifferently replied, as long as I get paid, I don't care about the rest. The maid was surprised and said, it sounds like you live just to make money. Margot thought to herself, this mansion is truly strange. Before, the nobles only knew there was a hidden, illegitimate daughter. But now it's as if everything in the mansion revolves around the Mississippi. What kind of person is she, really? The mansion was now shrouded in darkness. The two maids guarding outside the door kept complaining to each other. "I'm so tired. Working all day is tiring enough. The door is already locked, so why do we still have to guard it? And it has to be maids, too." One of the maids wondered, could that woman not have had even a sip of water? Since that day, hearing this, Margot turned her head and looked towards the door of Crosida's room. At this moment, she lay on the bed utterly exhausted, hungry, and thirsty. Her head was spinning. Crosida agonizingly wondered, "It's been 3 days. Why hasn't the priest come yet? I thought I could get through this by sleeping, but at this rate I'll be sleeping forever. I thought 3 days would be fine, because this kind of plot happens all the time in drama novels, but now that I'm going through it, it's not easy at all. If only I could have a sip of water. If I use my charm on the maids outside, will they listen to me?" Crosida then hit her head and berated herself. "What am I thinking? I've used that power so many times already." She sat up worriedly and wondered, but it's strange that the priest is so late. Could he have changed his mind? I still have a little strength left. Should I use it? Crosida then called out to the maids outside. "Hey, can you open the door for me?" Hearing this, one maid paled and asked, "Miss Crosida, are you still awake?" She urged her, "Open the door for me." The maid refused. "I can't, Mississippi. The count ordered us not to open the door." Crosida then groaned. "My stomach hurts so much. I don't know why, but at this rate, I'll die." Hearing this, the two maids began to discuss with each other. Is the miss lying? But what if she's really telling the truth? Crosida, inside, pleaded, "Please." Hearing this, the two maids slightly opened the door to check on the situation. Crosida, inside, smiled and asked them, "Can you do me a favor and open the door for me?" The moment she saw her face, Margot's eyes widened. The other two maids were stunned after seeing Crosida, and then their expressions became worried as they said, "Miss, what are you saying?" They flusteredly rushed into the room, saying, "Of course, our very existence is to obey Mrs. commands. What can we do for you?" Miss Crosida gently smiled and replied, "I'm very tired. Can you bring me some food and drinks from the kitchen? Please don't let my father know." She inwardly planned, "When the maids are away, I must escape from here." Hearing this, the two maids ran like lightning to fetch food for her. "Yes, I'll bring it right away." "No, I'll bring it even faster." Crosida then glanced at Margot and asked, confused, "What about you?" She calmly replied, "2 people are enough." Hearing this, Crosida panicked and wondered, this maid isn't affected by the charm. She paled, incredibly worried as she looked at the maid. "How can I escape like this? What should I do? Why isn't she even looking at me?" But then Crosida suddenly gasped. Looking at Margot, she thought, "I feel like I've seen this maid somewhere before. Why does she feel so familiar?" The two maids returned at that moment. They hurriedly placed the food on the table for Crosida. "Please drink some water. Here, have some soup and some soft bread." Looking at the mountain of food brought to her, she decided to eat her fill first and then think about what to do next. Then she thanked the two maids. The two maids looked at her with very strange expressions. Then they said, "Miss, if we're discovered disobeying orders, we'll be in trouble." The two maids approached her and acted, saying, "Miss, you know we risked so much to do this, but you think of us like that?" They leaned close to her neck and whined, "This isn't fair at all." "No way." Crosida began to feel scared, but suddenly the two maids screamed, causing Crosida to open her eyes wide in shock. Margot grabbed a chair and hit the two of them, knocking them to the floor. Her face pale, she said, "What suddenly happened to them? Are they crazy? Miss, are you all right?" Although saved, Crosida was utterly bewildered. What? This maid? She really isn't charmed, just like the male leads. But why is only this maid different? Crosida then asked, "Thank you for helping me. What's your name?" Margot introduced herself. Upon hearing the name, Crosida gradually remembered where she had seen Margot before. Rewinding back to when Crosida was watching the romantic Rose Garden promotional video in her previous world, Margot had appeared in that video. Crosida remembered her as the female lead's maid and the game's tutorial character. She couldn't help but be surprised by this. Isn't this an incredibly important discovery? This means that aside from the male leads, the key characters in this world aren't affected by my charm. This is a great opportunity. Thinking this, Crosida grabbed Margot's hand and said, "I was confused when they suddenly acted like that towards me. Can you help me? Please help me escape this mansion. If you help me, I'll give you anything you want." Hearing this, Margot asked, "Do you have money, miss?" Crosida immediately stammered, "Currently, I don't have any money." Margot listened and coldly said, "I don't like working for free." Crosida's face instantly paled, but Margot then smiled and said, "However, since there's rarely an opportunity to have the Count's daughter indebted to me, I can help you." Cressida immediately thanked her, but then she suddenly felt suspicious. Wait a minute, is it too easy for her to help me like this? How can I be sure this maid isn't charmed like the male leads? Then, blushing, Cressida asked, when you look at me, do you notice anything strange? Like wanting to attack me or kiss me? Margot was stunned by this question. Then she asked, do you want that, miss? Cressida panicked and said, no. Then, turning her head away, Cressida said, it's so good that you don't feel that way. Anyway, we must hurry up and escape. She inwardly felt incredibly embarrassed. So embarrassing. I can't believe I said those things. Margot then said, put on your coat first. Mississippi. Margot helped Cressida with her coat, saying, if you go like that, you'll attract a lot of attention. Cressida thanked her. In her heart, she couldn't help but rejoice. Thank goodness. I didn't expect to find another person I can normally talk to. And, with the promise of marriage to Roger, I can have a little more hope now. Margot's expression suddenly became thoughtful. Then she led Cressida away. The sky began to brighten. Cressida looked around, surprised, and worriedly said, the sky is already bright, and there are too many people around. Margot reassured her, don't worry, Mississippi. The servants are just doing their jobs. Then she asked, but if you run away from this mansion, where do you plan to go? Cressida immediately replied, I'll go to the Holy Knights Monastery. There's someone there who will help me. She added, speaking of which, do you want to leave the mansion with me? But before she could finish her sentence, she wondered confusedly, why are there so many people gathered in front of the mansion? The mansion guards then reminded Roger, you can't keep standing here like this, sir. If you continue like this, more people will gather here. Mr. Roger, please stop this. Having received a formal invitation, Roger ignored these words and resolutely said, no, I must see her now. I promised the young lady of this mansion. The surrounding people began to gossip. What's going on? Isn't that the captain of the Holy Knights? I've seen him. The guard then drew his sword and warned, you'll get into trouble again, sir. If you continue to be obstinate, we'll have no choice but to arrest you. But before the guard could lay a hand on him, Roger drew his sword, knocking the guard's weapon aside. The guard's sword clattered to the ground, embedding itself in the earth. The two guards paled. Roger declared resolutely, I will not leave until I see Lady Gaetano. Cressida, witnessing this scene, was utterly astonished. She wondered what he was doing at the main gate. A blush warmed Cressida's cheeks as she thought, but seeing him here puts my mind at ease. I was so worried when he didn't arrive, thinking he'd change his mind. He kept his promise after all. She watched Roger with concern. But is it wise to confront them so directly in front of the mansion? Father will never allow this. She'd just begun to call out, Father Roger, when Margot grabbed her sleeve. Cressida questioned why Margot was stopping her, and Margot replied, my lady, look over there. Earl Gaetano emerged from the mansion, his face a mask of fury. He now stood face to face with Father Roger. Seeing her father appear, Cressida quickly ducked out of sight. The Earl demanded of Roger, what is the meaning of this, Roger? This is outrageous. Seeing him emerge, Roger sheathed his sword and replied, I've been waiting for you, Earl Gaetano. He continued, I've come to take Lady Gaetano to Baron Dacrat's mansion. Be prepared for our departure. The old Earl, bewildered, asked, prepare for what? Roger calmly answered, prepare to send her home with me as my wife. Once I become Baron Dacrat, I will marry her. The onlookers, overhearing this, erupted in excited murmurs. He's giving up the priesthood to marry. Heavens, what a romantic tale. Hidden behind the wall, Cressida was stunned by Roger's words. He declared it in front of everyone. Earl Gaetano's face paled. He thought, I'm not one to associate with commoners. You think I'll let you take the daughter of Earl Gaetano so easily? The crowd chanted, we support you, Roger. Take the lady. The Earl seethed at the shouts, thinking, that fellow is a celebrated holy knight captain, so he's popular with the masses. The gossipmongers always love this sort of thing. But if this commotion reaches the ears of the nobility, if I ignore this charade, the Earl's reputation will suffer. Those vultures are always circling, eager for any scandal involving my daughter. That much is certain. Then, addressing Roger, he said, I understand your feelings, Roger, but this isn't a matter to be resolved with mere words. I'm also wary of the fervor of youth. Let us end this here today and discuss it further next week. Roger, of course, didn't listen. Instead, he challenged the old Earl. You've imprisoned Lady Gaetano, haven't you? He leaned closer to the Earl, his voice icy. I merely surmised as much from what the lady told me. But as I suspected, I wasn't wrong, was I? Then Roger asked, what do you think would happen if I had the Holy Knights search the entire mansion right now? You wouldn't have time to coerce your servants into fabricating evidence. The Holy Knights won't miss a single word or action. Infuriated by the threat, the Earl rounded on him. You, a priest, dare speak so boldly as if you were the Grand Master himself. If you dare touch my daughter, you can forget about keeping that position. Roger calmly replied, I am highly respected in the Holy Empire. He glanced at the Earl, his tone challenging. Do you want to test the extent of my influence? Just then, a cry startled him. Father Roger. Cressida came running from the distance and embraced him. Witnessing this, the crowd began to whisper amongst themselves. Is it the Earl's daughter, the one he's been keeping hidden? Where did this young lady come from? Roger, seeing her, exclaimed in alarm, Lady Gaetano, it's dangerous for you to be here, in front of all these people. Cressida thought, in this situation, I think it's best if I interrupt this conversation. The Earl, seeing Cressida rush out from somewhere, asked in a flustered tone, Cressida, how did you get out? She thought to herself, if he's going to put on a show in front of everyone, then I'll play along with him like a lovesick noblewoman. Then Cressida turned and pleaded with the Earl, Father, I want to be with Father Roger. Please allow me to go to Baron Dacrat's mansion. How can you stop someone who's willing to give up even the Holy Spirit for me? Hearing her words, the onlookers chimed in, Earl, please allow it. That's right. They truly love each other. The Earl's face paled. His face began to contort. Both Cressida and Roger watched, tense. He gritted his teeth, his body trembling. Then the Earl said, Fine, for now I permit her to stay at the Baron's mansion to prepare for the engagement ceremony. Shaking Roger's hand, he continued, However, to get married, you need this man's consent. You both know that, right? Roger, not at all pleased by these words, leaned close to the old man's ear and said, Getting approval from a barbaric father like you is only slightly better than hell. He glared at the Earl, warning, If you dare lay a hand on Lady Gaetano again, I will judge you in God's stead. Hearing this, the Earl flew into a rage. This insolent dog. After that, Roger led Cressida away. He said to her, My lady, please get into my carriage. Cressida wondered, what did he say to make the Earl react like that? At that moment, people offered their joyful congratulations. Congratulations on your happiness, Mr. Roger. Cressida was quite surprised by this scene. The carriage began to roll. Sitting inside, she said with relief, I can finally breathe easy. Roger sighed and said, My lady, you've lost weight. You've suffered greatly. Cressida quickly replied, No, you're the one who should be saying that, Father Roger. You look pale. It's because you pushed yourself too hard this morning, isn't it? Cressida continued, her voice brimming with excitement. Also, I didn't expect you to take me away like that, especially in front of everyone. Thanks to that, my father won't dare do anything rash. But it's a good thing so many people gathered this morning. The sight of the handsome Father Roger standing in front of the Earl's mansion must have been quite a spectacle, right? Roger explained, That's because I walked from the Holy Knight headquarters to the Earl's mansion, which is why so many people gathered. Cressida asked in surprise, what? Then Roger explained, I often participate in volunteer work, so people know me well. When they saw me walking straight towards the mansion, they followed me. Hearing this, she thought in astonishment, was that his intention? Attracting people with his performance and using it to restrain the Earl's actions. That supportive atmosphere just now wasn't due to good luck. Cressida thought to herself, this man appears to be an honest priest on the outside, but unexpectedly, his inner thoughts are different from what I imagined. Then Roger said sadly, More importantly, I'm sorry I was late and put you in danger. Cressida said, I didn't wait long. She smiled. I'm truly happy that you kept your promise to me. You helped me in your own way once again. Hearing this, Roger was taken aback. At that moment, Margot coughed, breaking the romantic atmosphere. Cressida quickly turned and said, I'm sorry for dragging you into this, Margot. But if I left you at the mansion, my father wouldn't let you go. Margot replied, As long as I get paid, I don't care where I go. Then Cressida said to him, Father Roger, this maid helped me escape. He replied happily, Is that so? Margot and Roger looked at each other. Cressida wondered, why did the atmosphere suddenly become so tense? Then Roger asked her, Is this person normal? She didn't try to manipulate your emotions or take advantage of you physically, right? Cressida was startled. He was so blunt. Then she said, Don't worry, Margot wouldn't do that to me. He nodded and said, Since you say so, let's take her back to the mansion and put your mind at ease. As he spoke, Roger suddenly collapsed against Cressida's shoulder. His face was pale, and he was drenched in sweat, causing her to panic. At Baron Dakrat's mansion, the butler, recognizing the familiar carriage, greeted them warmly. "My lady, you've arrived earlier than expected. Welcome to Baron Dakrat's residence. I am the steward of this estate." Gaetano, filled with anxiety, blurted out, "Father Roger has collapsed. Quickly, fetch a physician." The butler, startled, exclaimed, "What?" He immediately rushed off to summon a doctor. At Roger's bedside, Cressida paced anxiously. "Father Roger, please wake up. He's always been so healthy. How could this happen so suddenly?" "What happened?" Cressida trembled as she replied, "I don't know. He was wielding his sword just moments ago. How could he collapse like this? Could it be?" Her voice trailed off as a chilling thought struck her, remembering Dakrat's bloody wound. Driven by a sudden realization, she began to unbutton Roger's shirt, much to the butler's astonishment. "My lady, why are you suddenly undressing Father Roger?" Cressida, too frantic to explain, urged, "Help me turn him over." With the butler's assistance, they rolled Roger onto his back. A heavy silence fell over the room. Moments later, a mournful cry broke the stillness. The physician, arriving shortly after, examined Roger and declared his back was already severely injured, and now, with these fresh wounds, that he could even walk is surprising. "In my 20 years of practice, I've never seen a patient as resilient as Father Roger." Cressida, her voice thick with worry, asked, "Can he be healed? Will he be all right?" The physician hedged. "I cannot say for certain, but if he survives this, I believe he will recover. I'll leave the rest to my assistant. He is soon to inherit the barony, after all. As for whether he wakes, that is in God's hands. He is the Holy Knight Captain, after all." Watching the physician's casual departure, Cressida cried out, "You're just leaving? As a physician, how can you say such a thing, leaving a patient to die?" A nearby servant explained quietly, "The Dakrat estate doesn't have much money, so the physician doesn't want to conduct a thorough examination." Cressida remained indignant. Even so, he should at least attend to him until he recovers. And what nonsense is this about him being the Holy Knight Captain and relying on God? Margot spoke up, "My lady, you needn't worry too much. In truth, Father Roger is protected by God's grace." Cressida paused, taking in Margot's words. What do you mean? Wasn't the physician being sarcastic? Even the children in the streets know. Do you truly not know? Margot thought to herself, isn't she rumored to be a spoiled young lady? How long has she been isolated from society? Aloud, she explained calmly, 7 years ago, the northern heathens waged war, causing the deaths of countless innocents. At the Battle of the St. Lydy Plains, the royal knights faced certain defeat. At that time, among the holy knights, only Father Roger single-handedly broke through the enemy lines and defeated their general. Not a single attack touched him, and even pierced by 5 arrows, he did not fall. Since then, the people of the Empire have believed him to be protected by God's grace. Cressida gasped. What the? Margot continued. Thanks to his abilities, he has achieved numerous feats, and the Holy Empire's standing has greatly improved because of him. Father Roger is like a symbol of the Asa Holy Knight Monastery. If you mention Father Roger, they say even wounds cannot kill him. To make Father Roger reconsider his decision, the Holy Empire imposed severe punishments on him. Cressida listened, frustration evident in her voice. Because of such things, the church didn't want to let Father Roger go at all. But what's this about being protected by God? What if it's because of his superhuman strength? If he's beaten black and blue, tortured to the extreme, anyone would die. Her thoughts grew darker. Because he always puts on a nonchalant air, his body has had to endure such pain. He's covered in wounds, but he hasn't revealed it to anyone. He endured the pain because he promised to come to the mansion and save me. The butler, noticing her distress, inquired gently, My lady, are you all right? Cressida quickly responded, I'm all right. Roger reassured Cressida. Don't worry too much. Sir Roger is under God's protection. He'll wake up soon. Besides, even if things have turned out this way, you'll be a baroness soon. While Sir Roger recovers, I'll show you around the mansion. You can meet the lady and the servants. Cressida hesitated at these words. Finally, she firmly declined. No, I'd like to be alone. I think I'll take a walk in the garden. In another corner of the mansion, Earl Gaetano sat alone, his expression sorrowful. He silently reproached himself. It's because of me that Sir Roger is like this. Just a simple declaration of wanting to leave the priesthood was considered unlawful and punished. Doing that with me, receiving the Holy See's harsh punishment, is only natural. It was foreseeable, but I only thought of myself. What will Sir Roger think of me? Suddenly, a voice called out, "Hello, Mississippi. What are you doing here? Are you a friend of Roger's?" The Earl was so flustered he could barely speak. You. As he spoke, he realized they were making eye contact. The woman looked at Earl Gaetano with warmth, then approached and asked kindly, "Why are you crying, miss?" The Earl's agitation increased at these words. How can you be Father Roger's mother?" "I wasn't crying." Just then, the woman suddenly embraced him. She comforted him gently. "If you're tired, just cry. I understand." Earl Gaetano thought, so warm. I've never been embraced like this by a mother in my life. Like a single drop overflowing a cup, the Earl suddenly burst into tears in the stranger's arms. Tears flowed freely as he hastily apologized. "I'm sorry for causing you pain." In a grand mansion within a certain room, a subordinate was reporting, so the young lady finally arrived at the Baron's mansion to be engaged to Roger Dacrat. There are many rumors about what happened at the Duke's mansion. Duke Gaetano, it was the right decision to send her back. If that man had entered the Duke's mansion, something terrible would have surely happened. Hearing this, Weisenberg became contemplative. They're getting engaged immediately? After being rejected by me, she went to another man and stayed with him. Using the body that seduced me, the thought filled the young man with resentment. He angrily exclaimed, "Damn it!" The worried butler asked, "Your Grace, what's wrong?" Weisenberg commanded, "Prepare the carriage. I must go to Baron Dacrat's mansion." With that, they boarded the carriage and departed. The young man was incredibly restless. "I decided not to see that woman again. I even warned her, but I can't sit still. Why does her engagement to another man bother me so much?" Then the young man suddenly realized, wait, bother me? Am I going to disrupt the engagement ceremony? What am I going to do at the Baron's mansion? In the Crimson Mansion, in the dim sunlight by the window, Roger dimly awoke. He wondered, is this my room? With that, he sat up, thinking, Lady Gaetano, where is she? Then the sight before him stunned him. Cressida was dozing, her head resting on the shoulder of Roger's mother. The woman whispered, "These past few days, she's been by his side, caring for him. She just fell asleep. Her brother must be worried." Just then, Cressida awoke. She thought she had just heard Father Roger's voice. Seeing the person before her, the girl couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "You're awake? How are you feeling?" Roger asked softly, "Lady Gaetano," a while later in the mansion's courtyard. Watching Cressida, engrossed in admiring the flowers as she strolled about, Roger turned to his mother and said, "I was worried about how to have you two meet." "It seems I needn't have worried," Cressida replied. "I'm glad your mother is so kind to me." She secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, she doesn't intend to attack me. Then she suddenly blurted out, "But, Father Roger, Lady Dacrat seems to think I'm her daughter, and you're her son." The young man replied, "I don't understand why she calls me your brother, so that's—" I don't know if you can guess from her words, Miss Cressida, but my mother has suffered greatly. 15 years ago, when I was a child, my mother was trapped in a dark place. For so many years, she couldn't bear the blow of my father's death. Ever since then, she's treated me like a child. But usually, when guests come, she treats them as my friends. Miss Cressida seems special. Perhaps because she cherishes you so much, she imagines you as the daughter she never had. My mother was quite rude to you." Hearing this, Cressida quickly explained, "Not at all. I truly enjoyed it." She thought to herself, "I can accept this kind of love. The more the better. So, sometimes charm does work." Then she said, "Father Roger, I understand why you care so much for your mother. You are a very sensitive person." Dacrat paused for a few seconds upon hearing this, and then accepted her compliment with a smile. Truly sensitive? As Cressida glanced over, she noticed something unintentionally. This is the first time I've seen Roger smile. Looking at the man beside her, the girl smiled unconsciously and sighed inwardly. His smile is so gentle and warm. Just then, Dacrat suddenly spoke, "Oh, right? I heard you've been by my side. I am sorry. I thought I could endure a certain level of pain, but I was overconfident. I'm fine now, so you don't have to worry." Hearing this, Cressida became indignant. "What do you mean you're fine? Your back is in that state, and you say you're fine? Moreover, you were injured because of me. How can I not worry?" The young man said sternly, No, I knew what kind of punishment I would face at the Holy See, but I still accepted your request. You're worrying about things you don't need to know. The woman continued to argue. Why shouldn't I know? If I had known this request would hurt you, I wouldn't have asked. Dakrat asked in confusion. We both achieved our goals. Why are you saying this? Cressida was speechless. A puzzled expression also appeared on the young man's face. Just then, Dakrat's mother suddenly appeared. Children, let's play hide and seek. Saying this, she spun Cressida around by the hand. Then she said, Mother's going to count, so hide quickly. 69. Cressida was utterly bewildered. What? Dakrat urged. Let's hide, but not too thoroughly. After we're done playing, Mother will go inside the mansion to rest. The young man led Cressida to a secluded corner, saying, There's a good hiding spot around here. The distance between them grew closer. At that moment, Dakrat suddenly turned his face away, leaving Cressida feeling disappointed. I don't know how to describe this trembling anger. He saved me so many times, and he's been so warm towards me. Yet when he wants to get close, he draws a line. I believe this man's words are sincere, but why is it so painful? Could this frustrating feeling stem from the sense that I can't win his heart? Finally, Cressida spoke. Father, Roger, I hope you won't get hurt again. Please don't accept any more requests that might lead to your injury. Hearing this, the man explained. You're very insightful, Miss Cressida. She quickly denied it. Not insightful at all. That's because my heart has always been with you. After saying this, she immediately rebuked herself. What did I just say? So she hurriedly added an excuse. From a humanitarian perspective, Father Roger is a very good person, so, before she could finish, Dakrat gave her a sweet kiss. Surprise filled Cressida's eyes. As their gazes met, their hearts pounded as one. After a moment that seemed to stretch on forever, he slowly parted from her lips. Roger suddenly blushed, awkwardly covering his mouth, as if he were the one who had just been kissed. After being frozen for a moment, Cressida finally understood the situation, her thoughts seemingly drifting far away because of the dizzying sensation she had just experienced. Just now, what did you do? Roger knew he'd overstepped. He looked like a child caught in his first transgression, a mixture of awkwardness and endearing innocence. I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. Cressida gazed at him for a long moment. She had been the one to initiate the kiss, clinging to him like a lifeline, but things had progressed more swiftly than she'd anticipated. In the midst of this flustered scene, Lady Gaetano burst in, startling the young couple. There you are, my children. She embraced both Cressida and her son, creating a tableau of familial warmth. Cressida was inadvertently pressed closer to Roger, her cheeks still flushed from the previous encounter. They exchanged glances, neither daring to speak. That afternoon, in the Baron's mansion, Roger led Cressida to a spacious and opulent room, its grandeur tinged with solemnity. He announced, Well then, Miss Gaetano, you may stay in this room. As for your maid, I've arranged for her to work within the mansion. You won't encounter any other servants. Cressida listened to the Baron's arrangements with her head bowed, the blush lingering on her cheeks, enough to make any man's heart flutter. Roger suddenly broke the silence, uttering, And I shall endeavor to avoid you as well, Mississippi. He abruptly drew his sword, pointing it at his own palm. For I have broken my vow to Miss Gaetano. You are free to punish me as you see fit. Not long ago, I said I wouldn't do anything you dislike. Faced with this handsome, gentle, yet slightly masochistic husband-to-be, Cressida panicked. Why does he always like to play these dangerous games? Roger continued. However, it would be too dangerous for you to wield the sword yourself. So I shall do it. How about I cut out my tongue? Cressida felt this was going too far, so she quickly cried out, Stop, and grabbed Roger's arm. She tried to explain with whatever words came to mind, however clumsy they sounded. Wait, I didn't dislike kissing you, Father Roger. This time, it was Roger's turn to freeze for a few seconds, stunned by her sudden outburst. His sword clattered to the floor. Cressida moved closer to Roger, clarifying her meaning. If you want to like that with me, you can kiss me anytime. Roger's face turned an even deeper shade of red. If he had a shovel, he would have dug a hole and buried himself. Roger's hand gently caressed Cressida's beautiful face. She closed her eyes, anticipating what would happen next. Roger tilted his head slightly and lowered it towards her face. But just as things were about to get interesting, the spell was broken. Cressida's maid suddenly entered the room, startling the pair. Cressida pushed Roger away with lightning speed to avoid any misunderstanding. Margot, It's not what you think. Margot felt as if she had stumbled upon something she shouldn't have seen. She bowed slightly, saying, I apologize for the interruption. I've come to help you prepare for bed. Cressida's face burned with embarrassment. Right? She wondered if she felt a pang of disappointment at the interruption. Father Roger cleared his throat, dispelling the awkward atmosphere. Well then, I shall return to my room. We can continue this conversation later. Cressida could only agree. Roger's expression suddenly turned flustered. Although it's a bit late, I wanted to say, after the engagement ceremony, I will no longer be a father. Please call me Roger. This simple statement instantly closed the distance between them and touched Cressida. She echoed his words. Yes, Roger. Dusk gradually enveloped the temple and the palace. Cressida returned to her room, letting out a soft sigh as she replayed the day's events in her mind, her thoughts a jumbled mess. Roger, what was that all about? I kissed him, and Roger kissed me first. If we hadn't been interrupted, would we have continued? But the timing of that interruption was too perfect, wasn't it? Did Margot see it too? Cressida was mortified. Margot watched her mistress's transition from contemplation to inner turmoil and drew her own conclusions. Miss, have you fallen in love with Master Roger? Cressida was startled. Huh? Love? That. She began to seriously contemplate. Why did I suddenly feel like a bucket of cold water had been dumped on me? Do I look like I'm in love? What am I doing? I pursued Roger to escape this world, but instead, I'm the one who's become smitten. When did I forget my main objective and become so fascinated by this man? I want him to talk to me happily. I want him to not hate me and to take the initiative with me. But how can I endure this? Cressida leaned on the bed, her hand against her forehead, recalling the priest's gentle and endearing demeanor. The word means listless/weak/powerless. Pick the best fit. She couldn't help but feel her heart pounding. Why is my heart beating so fast? Suddenly struck by love, Cressida was now in a state of restless agitation, making Margot think she had ADHD. Blushing, Cressida mumbled, Sorry, I don't know why I screamed too, but Roger kissed me first. So does this mean I've successfully captured his heart? But I feel like nothing has changed. So is this the kind of ambiguous relationship? More than friends, less than lovers? Or do I need to do more? This thought made the young woman blush again, both addicted and shy. She thought, if things go on like this, it'll be dangerous. My goal is to win the male lead's heart and escape this world. Stay alert. As Cressida was lost in thought, Margot's call snapped her attention. She sat up and saw that her maid had been sitting beside her for a while. Margot said seriously, Miss, don't trust others. Even Master Roger. Cressida was stunned by her strange words. Margot added, Get up, I'll help you change into some comfortable clothes. Still shocked, Cressida simply obeyed her maid. Meanwhile, in Roger's private room, he sat alone, lost in thought. Roger gently touched his lips. Cressida's taste still lingered. I can't believe I acted like I enjoyed it so much. The thought alone made him blush. His restless mood prevented him from sitting still. He prayed silently, Lord, please forgive this foolish servant. Don't let human desires consume me. Just then, a servant's call from outside startled him. What is it? Don't open the door. The servant's voice was urgent. Something big has happened. There's a visitor to see you. The servant's obvious distress piqued Roger's curiosity. At the same time, Cressida also heard about the unexpected visitor. She became incredibly anxious and hurriedly lifted her skirt, running out, filled with suspicion. No, it can't be. How could that person come here? In the guest room, a young man stood quietly waiting. Cressida couldn't help but gasp. Contrary to her expectations, the first to arrive was the crown prince, Ethan. Noticing Cressida's worried expression, he greeted her politely. Finally, we meet. Are you well, Cressida? I've missed you terribly. Cressida hadn't anticipated Ethan's sudden visit. She wasn't sure whether to be worried or delighted. Trying to maintain her composure, she greeted him. Your Highness, why are you here? Ethan spoke with a hint of sorrow. It feels so distant when you call me that. Haven't we met 3 times already? You know my name, don't you? As he spoke, the prince moved closer to Cressida, making her feel nervous. Call me Ethan. My love, dearest. Anything is fine. His 180-degree shift sent a chill down her spine. Just then, a hand stopped Ethan from getting closer to Cressida. It was Roger, arriving just in time to intervene. Your Highness, I apologize for the late welcome. My name is Roger Dacrat. The two men exchanged glances, outwardly cordial, but inwardly brimming with underlying tension. Ethan put on a flawlessly insincere smile. I know, Although we haven't met privately, we've seen each other many times at official meetings, haven't we? I didn't expect you to interrupt like this. It's a pleasure to meet you. Are you still Lord Roger? Are you Roger? He questioned the dangerous crown prince while shielding Cressida. What brings your highness to my humble mansion? Ethan replied innocently. Since I'm already here, let's get straight to the point. As I thought, Master Roger is very straightforward. I hear my dear Miss Gaetano has caused quite a stir at the Baron's mansion, defying the Count's orders and preparing for an engagement. Driven by curiosity, I've come to inquire as a friend. Cressida was taken aback, hearing the word friend from this devil's mouth. This guy is the enemy, not a friend. Ethan pulled Cressida aside, whispering in her ear, if not a friend, then what is our relationship? More than friends, less than lovers. The bewilderment on Cressida's face was evident. Noticing Cressida's discomfort at the crown prince's appearance, Roger frankly stated, Your Highness, she will be my fiancée. Please be mindful of your words and actions, as they may cause misunderstandings. The firmness and coldness in Roger's demeanor and tone made it clear he was serious about protecting his future bride, even if it meant confronting royalty. His stance put subtle pressure on Ethan. Ethan replied with a smile, I apologize, but Miss Cressida and I seem to have things to discuss. I'm referring to the rest of the story from my garden. If you continue to stay here, I won't mind. Cressida felt he was threatening to reveal those embarrassing events. But what is this guy thinking? What did he come all this way to talk about? Cressida still wanted to end this herself, so she asked Roger to let her speak with Ethan privately, and then she would return. Roger seemed hesitant, worried for her safety. She reassured him, It's all right. If anything happens, I'll scream. Ethan watched the interaction between the two with his arms crossed and a knowing smile. In a secluded corridor of the Baron's mansion, when things seemed to have calmed down, Cressida spoke directly. So, Your Highness, what do you want? The rest of the story wasn't everything between us over. However, Ethan ignored her words and looked around the Baron's mansion with a critical eye. So cramped and stuffy. No, this mansion is quite comfortable. I heard Baron Dakrat's mansion was poor, but I didn't expect it to be this bad. His evasiveness filled Cressida's head with question marks. Why is he beating around the bush? Then, Ethan said something that shocked her. You rejected my proposal. The man you chose is the Holy Knight Captain, Roger Dakrat. What can that man give you? Religion? Faith? Certainly dangerous. Is it worth manipulating people like this? Seeing the situation escalating, Cressida interrupted Ethan. Your Highness. Ethan turned to her coldly. She mustered her courage to clarify. I've already told Your Highness, I don't have those kinds of ambitions. I'm only interested in Master Roger. Ethan made a face that seemed to say, Are you that desperate for love? He couldn't help but laugh sarcastically. Cressida, on the first day we met, you seduced the crown prince. The next day, you seduced the wealthy Duke Wizenberg, and after that, you pursued the Holy Knight Captain representing the Holy See. Even if it's just for a lover, isn't that quite a coincidence? Cressida hesitated at these questions. Everything she had done was to conquer the male lead of the game, so she could go home. I did do those things, but now that I'm marrying Master Roger, being buried here is no longer an issue. Ethan continued his speculation, each word stinging her heart. Cressida, now that you're married, no lady would be buried in a mansion. Using the former Holy Knight Captain as a stepping stone would be quite advantageous, wouldn't it? Cressida hurriedly interrupted him. I wouldn't do such a thing. Ethan's demeanor became increasingly unpleasant, like someone looking down from a high place, seeing through all the unpleasant things she had done. Really? How can I believe you? Rather than doubting you, chasing after you, I think it would be more comfortable to keep you by my side. Cressida suddenly felt uneasy and extremely apprehensive, guessing the hidden intentions behind the perverted prince's words. Her heart pounded. What should I do with this person in front of me? Both Roger and the Duke. How can I make them hate me or like me? They're starting to develop feelings. I don't even understand this one person. It's so strange. This feeling of the more you chase, the more they run, and the more you run, the more they chase. This strange pursuit left Cressida nearly drowning in unspoken doubts and anxieties. Seeing Ethan approach, Cressida's heart nearly leaped from her chest. She instinctively stepped back, her hand accidentally knocking over a potted plant on the wall. A loud crash echoed through the space. As Cressida turned, she saw the shattered remains of the pot. Flustered, she sat down to clean up the mess, her her clumsiness culminating in a sharp shard slicing her hand. Before Cressida could figure out what to do, the sly Ethan interjected. "Cressida, you have to be careful. Let me disinfect that for you." Cressida was bewildered. "What? Disinfect?" Ethan suddenly grabbed Cressida's hand, bringing it to his lips, causing her to blush crimson with embarrassment. With a cunning tone, Ethan said, "You taught me how to disinfect a finger, didn't you?" Cressida's blush deepened. Ignoring her flustered protests, Ethan continued his brazen advance, kissing her injured finger. Then, with a practiced smoothness, he sucked the blood from the cut. Cressida felt her heart pounding uncontrollably. This feels so strange. There's a warm, wet feeling in his mouth, his tongue. Ethan gently intertwined his fingers with Cressida's, then offered a sly, opportunistic smile. "Come with me, Cressida. I'll give you everything you desire." Cressida flinched, taking a step back. This man is truly unreadable. As the two stood in this awkward tableau, in a nearby, hidden corner, Lady Dacrat had been standing, observing their entire exchange. Cressida wrestled her hand from Ethan's grasp, stating firmly, "Your Highness, please stop this. It's no use. I made up my mind." Her forceful response momentarily stunned him. At first, I was indeed interested in your Highness, but now, even standing before your Highness, I can only think of loving Roger." Cressida, caught in the moment, failed to notice the distinct flicker of contempt in Ethan's eyes, a sign that her 80-second trial was fast approaching. A charming smile played on his lips. Meanwhile, Cressida's inner voice screamed, "Your Highness, are you planning to force me to go with you as your wife?" Ethan chuckled. "Why would I do that? Do I look like a villain who would force a lady? If you're uncomfortable, I apologize." Cressida felt a chill, sensing this was anything but a good omen. Every time she saw his smile, a shiver ran down her spine. Ethan acted the picture of contrition. "I've put too much pressure on you. So, I'll talk about something you like. Though I'm an uninvited guest, I still have some manners. I brought you a gift." Cressida listened, feeling like she had just learned something new. Then, Ethan produced a vial. "It seems the Holy See was quite cruel to Master Roger. This is a very effective healing potion, a special medicine made directly in the royal palace. As long as you drink it, the wounds will heal quickly without any side effects. I can guarantee the effectiveness of this medicine with my name." Cressida eyed the vial suspiciously. She figured its effectiveness must be on par with those TV commercials that guaranteed a cure for joint pain. But isn't the gift giver highly suspicious? She asked. This medicine, seemingly noticing Cressida's suspicion, Ethan said with that look in his eyes, "Did you take it for poison? Really? Then I'll try it." Then he actually brought the vial to his lips and drank a bit in front of Cressida. "See, I'm fine." Cressida reasoned that if the crown prince drank it and was fine, it probably wasn't poison. So, she took the vial from him. Leaving Roger's treatment to that half-hearted doctor makes me a little uneasy. Roger acts like he's fine, but those wounds aren't easy to heal. Cressida looked up at Ethan. "Thank you, your highness. So, we're done talking, right?" Just then, Roger, worried about Cressida's safety, also arrived. "Are you two done talking? It's getting late, so I came over." Cressida reassured him. "Yes, we're finished. Your highness should return to the palace now." Suddenly, at the mention of returning to the palace, the walking hazard light that was Ethan began feigning back pain, knee pain, numb hands, and dizziness. "Why am I suddenly so tired? In this condition, I don't think I can ride a carriage back, so I'll have to stay the night here. Please prepare a guest room for me, Lord Roger." Hearing this, Cressida nearly had a stroke. His unconvincing performance made her feel a sense of foreboding. What is this man thinking? Is he planning to sneak into my room at night? Roger seemed to understand Cressida's apprehension, pulling her towards him. "We're not married yet, but she shares a room with me." Cressida struggled to appear calm, her inner thoughts a whirlwind of panic. "What? Roger and I are sharing a room?" Ethan observed them, gauging the situation. Cressida realized that Roger might be saying this to protect her. Ethan flashed an unctuous smile. "The Holy Knight Captain is known for his restraint, but it seems that's just a rumor. But what business is it of mine? I just need a guest room." Roger was equally sly. "Is that so? Then your highness must leave immediately tomorrow morning. I find it strange that your highness suddenly feels unwell." Ethan reassured him, "I'll be clinging to my breeches on my way out, don't worry." Watching the two men glare at each other like this, Cressida, standing between them, felt bewildered. No matter how she looked at it, he seemed to be faking his illness. She truly couldn't understand what he was thinking. Suddenly, Cressida felt something amiss. She turned towards a nearby empty corner, thinking, I feel like there's someone over there, or am I mistaken? Because Roger had told Ethan that afternoon that he and Cressida shared a room, he now had to follow through. The two sat awkwardly on the bed, stealing embarrassed glances at each other. Roger spoke first. His Highness the Crown Prince is our guest tonight, so I thought it appropriate for Lady Gaetani and I to share a room. I apologize for my presumption. Cressida replied, I feel relieved as well. I was also embarrassed because of His Highness. Roger was silent for a moment, as if pondering something. What did the two of you talk about? His Highness said you were friends. Cressida's heart skipped a beat, and she rushed to explain. Friends? Nonsense. There's nothing between us. You don't have to worry. We've only met twice. Really, hearing this, Roger's expression relaxed somewhat, but the atmosphere remained awkward and stagnant. Cressida hesitantly said, More importantly, didn't we talk to each other and even kiss? Why are you acting like this? The first time was a mistake, but the second time we were serious. What did that mean to you? The reproach and anger in her words made Roger blush and speechless. Just looking at Lady Gaetani makes my knees weak. My whole body trembles more than facing any enemy. I want to touch those lips. I can't stand it anymore. I have feelings for her. Right now, I'm trying to suppress this surging impulse. What does that mean? Cressida was flustered by Roger's intense gaze. She abruptly stood up, saying, You don't have to answer right away. Roger is still a patient. Seeing Roger's condition, she became even more flustered. Why is your face so red? You're sweating? Do you have a fever again? Is my face like that? In fact, this was the first time in Roger's life that he had heard such embarrassing words, so he hadn't had time to adjust. This inadvertently made Cressida extremely worried. As expected, you just woke up and are starting to feel weak again. Just then, Cressida remembered the medicine Ethan had given her that afternoon, so she took it out and handed it to Roger. This is the medicine I received from His Highness. His Highness gave it to me, Cressida said, her voice laced with uncertainty. I'm not entirely convinced, but he claimed it's a special remedy from the royal palace. Roger, take a look. What do you think? If anything seems off, throw it away immediately. Roger unstoppered the vial and inhaled cautiously. The scent of 4 mingled herbs reached him, a potent anti-inflammatory, seemingly harmless. He glanced at Cressida, a question in his eyes. Is it truly just a gift? Ethan drained the vial in one swift gulp, then rose to his feet. I'll go offer my thanks to the Crown Prince, he announced. Turning to Cressida, he added, Thank you, Miss Gaetani. I'll take the sofa tonight. The words had barely left his lips when Roger collapsed before Cressida. Moments after consuming the potion, he lay unconscious on the bed. Terror seized Cressida. Roger, she cried, shaking him. Roger, are you all right? Wake up. In truth, Roger hadn't entirely lost consciousness. A heavy paralysis gripped him, leaving him aware but utterly immobile. He couldn't even open his eyelids, his voice trapped within him, unheard by the frantic Cressida. She was consumed with fear and regret. Women, the root of all suffering, he thought bitterly. Rage surged through Cressida. She spun on her heel, intent on confronting the culprit. That Crown Prince, she fumed. I won't let him get away with this. Roger sensed her perilous resolve, but the drug rendered him helpless. Miss Gaetani, I'm all right, he strained to say, his voice silent. Don't go to that man's room. But Cressida, consumed by fury, was beyond reason. She stormed out, blindly walking into the trap that had been so carefully laid. Kicking open the door, she confronted Ethan. Ethan didn't need to ask. Cressida's demeanor told him all he needed to know. His plan had worked. It seems Sir Roger drank the potion, he observed coolly. Cressida's voice trembled with rage. What did you do to him?